Nebraska Brewing Company.
Yeah, that's
for
right.
not listening to Connor. He said, "I'm not giving you that beer."
So Ben Haynes is the bartender that every week, last week, gave Kyle the little splash of pickle in my beer. Ben Haynes does listen to us.
Good.
So shout out Ben.
Yeah, shout out Ben. Thank you, man.
He's pretty cool.
Good dude.
Yeah,
good dude.
All right, guys, let's throw it over.
He's only okay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get this for free. Like my bar,
I said good dude, not great dude.
That's fair.
Yeah.
He's okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to our pretty special guest.
He's all right.
That's fine.
He is the host of the. Let me know if I get this right.
Okay.
The Ravi Lulla show with Damon Betting. Is that what that is?
Almost. You're so close.
Yeah. What did I get wrong? What did I get wrong?
It's the Damon Betting show with Ravi Lulla. You're almost there. Although this week I'm riding with guest host, so this week it is the Ravi Lulla show with X, whoever's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just fill in the blank.
Nice.
What did you get in your little cup there?
This is a good game. I'm all about the easy drinking beer.
Oh, there it is. That's my guy.
So what do you think?
Oh, it's very good. It's
Good.
very good. Very easy drinker. I could it's 95 degrees outside today, so it's quenching the thirst there, which I appreciate. I used to do a lot of the different like heavier beers. I had my IPA phase like many of us do in college.
Right.
We experiment a little bit.
You get a little weird.
Things get a little strange. But I moved on. I'm back to more of the straight and narrow, and I like the easy drinkers.
There you go.
I'm glad you said that because we were just going to mute your mic if you said anything else.
Yeah. Straight and narrow, indeed. So again, Monday, usually it's busy or not busy. Tonight is, you guys got cornhole. You guys are freaking going crazy with it tonight.
It actually, so I joke about like consistently about like, oh, there's a crowd outside. Legitimately tonight, there are like 150 people outside the room we're recording in. If you hear the noise, any cheering, any yelling, all of it's for us. Just remember that.
Yeah, definitely not cornhole.
No.
Right. No.
You can't cheer for that.
No one's cheered for cornhole ever.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not
Okay.
a real thing.
Have you watched cornhole on ESPN? It's actually pretty
As little as possible.
Right. It's actually really pathetic, isn't it?
No, it's exhilarating.
No, it's not.
Watching these dudes
Stop.
that train for years.
see
This
how
is
he's
their
trying to-
pinnacle. It's incredible.
He's trying to make it happen. He's trying.
Cornhole's not a thing. It's not going to be a thing, Gretchen Wiener. Knock it
He's
off.
trying to make fetch
It's
happen.
not a fetch, man. And before we get too deep into the Cornhusker football program, we want to thank everyone who came out to the Bauer Underground tailgate this past Saturday.
Absolutely.
It's a great crowd.
Just coming through, overcoming the heat and it was before the game, so it wasn't as bad. But we had, I think his name was Nick, who made these like keychains for us and
Made us a koozie. Made Connor a custom koozie, a Pilsner custom koozie.
Maybe, and I left it at home, and that's a real big mistake on my part. But shout out Nick, provided that's the right name.
Yes, it is.
I didn't
Yes,
get to
it is.
meet him in person.
made us a chessboard with
he made
all
us-
our sayings.
With all of our sayings from our podcast,
Oh,
he came all the way from Virginia to our podcast.
Kyle walked up
Whoa.
as I'm in the betting segment to show me inside that plastic bag. That was something, I think it said, I prefer backdoor. Normally I prefer backdoor. There it is.
There it is.
And I was trying to contain my laughter as I was like trying to make a pick.
Jared, I want to ask you this. Okay, so we started in my basement back in 2021, this podcast. Do you ever imagine somebody making merch us with our sayings from this stupid podcast?
And coming from Virginia.
Yes,
I was
no
saying,
less.
you're burying the lead here. The Virginia part
Yeah.
is the ridiculous.
That is
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I love it.
We have groupies.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Nick, you're one of our groupies.
Nick, buy merch.
Come on,
No,
Nick.
hey, Nick, listen, the
koozies
you're
are
a
great.
dog.
The koozies are awesome.
I
but
gave him a koozie.
we need money. We need
he's
money.
already done enough. Quit asking for more from him.
Yeah, right. Hey, I want to go out before we even get into any part of the game or anything like that.
Yeah.
Nick is my dog of the week. That's my dog
fair.
of the week. Right
Dog of
there.
the week.
Hell
All right,
yeah.
guys. So Michigan, they do Michigan things, and they beat Nebraska 45-7. Now, Sam Hahn, former offensive lineman, showed up to our tailgate show. He asked me, Jared, what would you be happy with?
Mm.
I kind of just, Sam, I really don't know. Here's what I'll say. I just want Nebraska to look like they belong.
Well,
And after 7 minutes,
they belong somewhere.
I was gonna say, yeah. Are you talking like the MAC? I mean, we might belong to the MAC.
No, you know what they look like? They look like they belong in the Big Ten West.
Yeah.
Because the Big Ten West is straight garbage.
I love it.
Like let's. I know
It is.
not to like jump in and hijack your show here.
No, you're good.
That's the
But
point. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Literally, it's the Ravi Lulla show with NBNR today.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit of a complex. No, honestly, if you look at the rest of the schedule, there's way more Minnesotas on there. There's no Michigans left, right?
Right.
The Big Ten West is very, very bad. Like it's even Big Ten Westy for the Big Ten West.
Yep.
And so, like, yeah, they don't belong with Michigan, but no one in the Big Ten West belongs with Michigan. Like, no one in the Big Ten West is even sniffing them.
No.
Much less beating them. It's so, like, yes, it's super discouraging to watch what happened, but I look at the rest of the schedule, I'm like, yeah, there's still like 5 wins there, maybe.
It's
Like,
possible.
Ooh.
I'm not saying that's guaranteed, but there's 5 games I'm like definitely winnable. The next 4 and then Iowa without Cade McNamara, yeah, I'll take my chances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember
You
that
know?
time we beat Iowa?
So, Ravi, I want to go full conspiracy right away.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's do
geez.
it.
Here we go.
Is there any chance that Nebraska still somehow pulls out a Big Ten West title at all?
I mean, there's a chance, yeah, because like I just said, the Big Ten West is the worst division in Power 5 football.
I love it.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's not an exaggeration, is it? Like,
Stink.
No, I think he's right.
They stink.
I mean, it's neither of the divisions in the Pac-12 are worse than they are.
Nope.
Neither of the divisions in the SEC are worse than they are.
ACC?
Maybe the ACC. I can't even ever remember who's in what division in the ACC.
Exactly.
With
Exactly.
The Coastal and the whatever the other one is. Atlantic? Is it Atlantic?
That's right. Yeah.
Even ACC teams are really not positive. Like, no one's following ACC football that closely.
Yeah, they're like, wait, which one are we in? I know that if Florida State beats Clemson, they're probably playing in the ACC title game.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Yeah.
And Miami's in the other one. That's my extent of the division knowledge. But like, there's probably better. I mean, you got North Carolina, Duke, Miami solid, Florida State, Clemson. Like,
Yeah, never mind. The Big Ten
Yeah.
West.
the Big
is the
Ten
worst.
West is the worst division in Power 5 football.
And let's just, we say that. What makes it even more sad is Nebraska is part of that equation.
Oh,
they are
yeah.
not.
Oh, yeah.
They are not making the Big
They're
Ten
an
West
active
good.
contributor to that title.
Oh, for sure.
They might be the most.
Oh,
active
I don't know.
contributor.
Illinois, I think, is Big Ten Westing really hard this year.
Are you sure though? Because we play them Friday, and we'll get into that. But
What a segue.
Well, so like, I think back to this past Saturday, and it's just like, why does it always seem like teams that get up for Nebraska, like, Nebraska gets a lot of shit for being irrelevant. You guys are nothing. Why does every team get up for Nebraska?
Michigan,
And it's just,
Michigan really needed to fight against Rutgers just to get some points on the board at halftime.
Bowling Green and Rutgers made it more interesting in Ann Arbor
Yeah.
than Nebraska ever did in Memorial State as Saturday.
So Michigan had Rutgers the week prior, correct?
Yeah.
The week prior to
Yeah.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
Do you think that, them having to get up and like really get working against Rutgers, was that a contributing factor where going into Lincoln, they were like, guys, we absolutely can't fuck this up. Like, we got to put the foot on the throat and get this thing done.
Well, you
No.
heard like Harbaugh talk about, and some Michigan players talk about how, Nebraska came in with the number 1 rush defense. We're going to show them pretty
Yeah.
much.
bulletin board material.
Yeah.
Statistically.
Yeah, but you know how much of a dumbass you have to be if you're Michigan and you're like, yeah, Nebraska's got the best rush defense in the country. It's like,
Right.
But that's what good teams do, though.
It's whatever.
no,
they
that's what
find
that's what
things.
stupid teams do. Good teams don't need that. Like, good teams don't need the external motivation to be like, oh, we got to get all mad because we're like, that's some Colorado bullshit. Like, I hate that.
Well, and I'm not
And
saying
if you do it, you keep it in house. It's the people that say it out loud that piss me off. Like, Michael Jordan's a straight sociopath. He never said that shit out loud until
True.
30 years later on a documentary that he had Final Cut on. Right? Like, he didn't say a damn thing about any of those dudes.
Yep.
Like LeBradford Smith, that name had never been uttered until The Last Dance came out, right?
Yep.
Not
Who
even
the-
by his mother.
Who the fuck is that guy?
You're right. So like, I'm out on all this, like, oh, they said this and whatever. Like, I don't give a single fuck
And I don't think,
about any of it.
and I don't think that was what Michigan. They didn't come in with that chip. I don't
I don't
mean,
know. Harbaugh's a
just-
weirdo.
He is. He is.
He's
a
like-
different
He
cat.
puts ketchup on his steak
He's a
and then
full-fledged
drinks milk
weirdo.
with that's a sociopath move.
Yeah.
Sure.
Also, like, he runs around shirtless in khakis and plays football. Like, that dude's a psycho.
Yeah, and he had
Yeah.
like gloves and cleats on
He's got a brand.
during warm-ups.
Yeah, not
On
like
Saturday.
he's got a like. Did you guys ever watch the like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Mhm.
He's like, what are the weirdo fam?
Twins?
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
you know what I'm talking about? The
The
weirdo
Boyle twins?
Boyle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Boyles,
he's like
yeah.
he's like the father Boyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's Jim Harbaugh. He's
Yeah.
the leader of the Boyle clan. Like that's who he is. Like,
Hey, man.
yeah, it's a brand. It's not a good brand.
Hey, but it works.
Speaking of Jim Harbaugh, just because why not? We're on the topic of him being a sociopath.
Yeah.
Who is the one coach in the Big Ten that you would not fuck with? Like
No, wait, so did you want to go not fuck with or the one that you want to punch in the face?
we'll go both. We'll go both. But like who's like
Yeah.
who's
One
like
coach
the guy that you're like, oh no.
One coach you would take a swing at, one that you wouldn't.
Ooh, who would I take? I would definitely take a swing at PJ Fleck.
Yeah, that's my man.
Yeah.
That's a unanimous.
I
over
would
here.
without a doubt take a swing at PJ Fleck. I like Luke Fickell, so I wouldn't do that. Kirk Ferentz is you're just beating up an old man at that point. So I don't,
Not fair.
yeah.
Bert.
I actually really like Brett Bielema.
Okay.
I think he's an incredible football coach.
I do.
really
I
do.
think he's underrated as hell.
like I think he's really good. He wasn't as bad at Arkansas as people want to remember.
Robbie's getting really close to agreeing with me on this.
Yeah, I'm so who's the other one? The one I wouldn't want to mess with?
Yeah.
I feel like I could take Ryan Day.
Never mind.
He's one of those guys that's like never got hit because he was big, and it's like you fall like a potato sack. I'm
You
not scared
think?
of- Oh, without a doubt.
Lou Holtz would put him in a headlock.
I just loved all those memes about like when Ryan Day called out Lou Holtz and Lou Holtz just on the couch like me.
Yeah.
Anybody that lets Lou Holtz live rent free in their head can get beat up. Like I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know.
I mean, not Mel Tucker anymore. So
Yeah.
Are you gonna go Harbaugh?
No, I'd fight Harbaugh.
I feel like Harbaugh, like
Harbaugh's a fake tough guy.
Frankly,
Like,
I feel like Harbaugh would get hit 1,000 times, but just like he's the Terminator, just continues to get back up.
he'd keep getting back up, but he wouldn't hurt you. He'd be like, I could do this all day. He'd like think he was Captain America, but he wouldn't ever like land a punch. He'd just be some bloody idiot. Greg Schiano kind of scares me a little bit.
okay.
He's got a little bit of a crazy eye to him that I
a good
don't
take.
I don't love.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. And plus he's got kind of like the Italian. Like I don't know if he's connected. I don't
Oh.
know.
yeah. It's a
You
smart
already
move.
know that.
Well,
Yeah.
coaches for Rutgers, New Jersey.
is
Come
it-
on.
Yeah, I'm probably not messing with Schiano.
There's a reason he went
Okay.
to Jersey again. He
Yeah,
came back.
right.
He's like, this is home.
And this is an offer he couldn't refuse.
Exactly. Yeah, I think I'm gonna lay off of Schiano.
For the Sopranos memes. That's why he went back. Sopranos memes. So, like, I guess the question is, what do we take away from this game? Like, what's besides like the obvious? Oh, Michigan's so much better. Like, what do you take away from this utter beat down?
Can I take a swing at it first?
Please.
You wanna
Luke
do it?
Reimer is very important to that defense.
Is it Luke Reimer or is it Deshaun Singleton?
Both, honestly, both the run stopper guys
Yeah, that's fair.
on the second level and third level are very important to this defense.
Also,
And
let's not forget Cam Lenhard, who haven't had a sack since he's been injured.
since he's been hurt.
Yeah.
Like literally have not had a sack since he got hurt.
Yeah. Like injuries suck. That's what I got from the
That's
game.
your takeaway.
Yeah, that's my
It's
takeaway.
not even an injury. Like, he had some weird freaking thing happen.
Luke Reimer did.
Yeah.
He got
Yeah.
sick or
Yeah,
something.
sorry,
It's a
yeah.
non-football thing.
Yeah.
And he's not going to play
Yeah.
this week.
Yeah.
I heard.
You should be able to survive Illinois without him, though.
I hope.
You'd think so. You would think so.
I heard Reimer was
They're
taken to the
favored.
hospital the morning of the game. Is that?
Yeah, he was like
Yeah.
at breakfast and wasn't feeling good, and rules like, hey, take him to the hospital. I don't know what happened.
Sam McEwen made it sound like it might be some sort of infection. I don't know
Yeah,
if he knows for sure, but
I think Rule said like MRSA infection, something like that. So I don't
Yeah.
know, like maybe I don't know what, something like that. Hopefully it's not a big deal, but yeah, he's not playing against Illinois, so that's not ideal.
Not at all.
I'll say this though, like Reimer or not, man, that defensive line was
Not good.
I don't know what they averaged per run, but
I think it was
I mean,
right at.
I think it was 5. Yeah, it was 5.
Yeah,
So, I
right
mean,
at 5.
linebackers or not, those guys were getting pushed 5 yards.
And that's what you get when you play, what is it, 9th year Harbaugh's Michigan squad. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It is,
You,
like, that's-
you have to remember they were the #1 offensive line for the last 2 years. So, like,
Yeah,
that's
sure.
going to happen.
Well, and yeah, I mean, this is a much more finished product than what Nebraska is dealing with right now. And I'm trying to find right now what their yards per carry was before that, but I don't think that was an abnormally large number for Michigan.
Sure.
Right. So
No.
you're talking about a team, and this kind of goes back to the Big Ten West stuff we were talking about before. Try and stay in front of my microphone here. This is a team that has national title aspirations, like legitimate national title aspirations, right?
Mhm.
They made the playoff with Cade McNamara
Right.
Who's out now?
and was bad. Like Cade McNamara is not a good quarterback.
He's like, tell me the Iowa offense is going to be so shitty. Cade, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not good.
He looked like a Big Ten West quarterback.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Harbaugh got to a playoff with that guy as his quarterback. And now he upgraded to a 5-star who's like a Heisman hopeful, right?
He's good.
Yeah, he's like actually good at football.
Those throws he made on Saturday, coverage is there, and they're just the ball is just in
like he made
perfect
some
spots.
He made some good throws, and the receivers help him out when he doesn't make good throws.
Mhm.
And so this is a totally different beast than literally anyone else Nebraska is going to play this year.
Sure.
And so, yeah, the 5 yards per carry is a little concerning, but I don't think the rush defense was an aberration before that. It was 4 games. 2 of them were against Power 5 teams. Northern Illinois wanted to run the ball. They just couldn't. They had 4 straight games with under 60 yards rushing allowed. Michigan is just that good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like they are like if Georgia had done this to Nebraska, I don't think we're having this level of
No.
concern, right?
well, I think people look back at 2019 2021 with
Yeah.
the Frost 32-29. They're like, well, we did it last time, so why can't we do it again?
Cade McNamara was the quarterback on that team.
Rose-colored glasses.
Cade McNamara was the quarterback on that team, and it's a totally just different team on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Like also that was Scott Frost year 4. This is Matt Rule game 5.
Yeah.
Like we are talking about vastly different things here. If Matt Rule can't hang with Michigan in year 4, like, yeah, we've got a problem. If he can't put up that level of effort in year 4, then we can have a conversation about like maybe this isn't working out, or maybe this isn't going the way we want it to, or somebody needs to make some changes. But in game 5, yeah, like what happened in game 3 of the Scott Frost era? 56-10, I think. Is that a whole hell of a lot different than what
Yeah,
we saw?
no.
He said after the game that it will not get lower than this. It cannot get worse than this. After he got beat down in Ann Arbor.
He was wrong.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
yeah, like that's the game you have to compare it to, not 2021. You have to compare it to 2018, where essentially the exact same thing happened against a worse Michigan team.
Yeah.
So I get the 2021 thing because it's recent. You're like, oh, it's not that long ago. Like Nebraska couldn't have fallen that far. First of all, like 75% of the roster is different on Nebraska.
Yeah.
And secondly, Michigan's even better than that team was.
Way better.
Well,
Like not close, I don't think.
Maybe it's just me, but it just seemed like the team kind of took the mindset of the fan base on Saturday, because you make it sound like there's a lot of fans that are pissed off about this. I think I'm pissed off that more people aren't, because I think a lot of people were just like, kind of saw this coming. Let's just move on. And I get that sentiment, but it's just, I think that the team kind of took on that mindset of the fan base on Saturday. We're going to lose. Let's just kind of get through this. And, Sipple kind of made a thing about it, about the lack of fire. Where was the,
I didn't think there was lack of fire. I thought they played tight. I didn't think it was a lack of effort, a lack of fire. I thought they were tight. I thought they kind of knew that the task ahead of them was pretty hefty, and they played tight. I wouldn't, because I had some people, and it's entirely possible that the people that call in and comment on daily talk radio shows are not an accurate representation of the population. I'm willing to hear that. It may be a vocal minority. I'm willing to say that's a possibility, but I heard a lot of like, oh, there was no effort, like they were not playing hard, and I don't think that was the case. I think they were playing hard. I think they were playing tight though, and that is that's not going to go well when you're playing a team like Michigan. I also got a pretty good amount of angry people, like people that were upset that they weren't competitive in it, that they weren't able to keep it close for a little bit longer, because I thought there was a world where they could have covered, the 17 or 18, but that world involves probably turning JJ McCarthy over a couple times. Like if he has the Bowling Green game against Nebraska, you can probably cover. Like that's kind of where I was at. I was like, yeah, they might be able to cover, but I couldn't believe how many people were angry with the performance. At least people that were talking to me either on the show or on my my social media or whatever. Like I couldn't believe that, and I was kind of taken aback. I was like, you guys know this is Michigan, right? Like if this happens against Michigan State, like yeah, be mad.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If this happens on Friday against Illinois, like yeah, be super mad. But against Michigan, like
I don't know. Like I see,
we're not there yet.
Yeah, take a Xanax.
I think people were particularly disappointed in the fact that like there are a few things that are not just unique to playing Michigan, who is a national championship contender, and that is the fact that Nebraska is atrocious on 3rd and long.
Yep.
And the 50-50 balls are seemingly always 100% in the wrong direction for Nebraska. Hey, the ball's going to bounce our way eventually. None of that happened. You had a pooched punt that, of course, bounced right into Michigan's hands.
And they get 30 yards on it.
Then they have a tip ball at the line, and a guy that looks like he weighs 450 pounds caught an over-the-shoulder interception.
making plays, baby.
And
I thought he was like a lean 380.
Okay. But and then I mean, like you just look at it, like at the tailgate, I said, look, if your offense cannot put together just some sort of resemblance of a sustained drive at all during the game, then your defense is going to suffer. And that's exactly what you saw. That defense, by the time the 4th quarter rolled around, like I think it was the last touchdown where there was no one near the wide receiver. And I was disappointed. My dad's like, dude, that defense is just broken right now.
It's like what happened against Colorado, right?
Exactly.
Like they were on the field for too long, and eventually the dam breaks, right? But hear me out on this. I think all of the things you mentioned, which are fair criticisms, those we look at as like hustle or luck or a lot of those things, those are talent issues. They're all talent issues, because guess what? When you get more talented, things start to go your way. When you have better defensive backs, 50-50 balls become 50-50 balls,
right?
Not 80-20 balls, right?
Yeah.
When you have more talented guys, you're able to sustain on defense longer, because you can, Tony White's trying to get in 20-25 guys on defense. Well, guess what? 3 of his best ones are hurt right now.
Yep.
And some of the guys behind that are, Josh Bullock was a walk-on 15 minutes ago. Like he's a nice player, but like there's a talent gap there between Michigan and Nebraska.
Phelan Sanford, all due respect,
incredible athlete, but not a high-level football player. Like really good special teams guy. If he's on your special teams and that's it, you're in great shape.
Yeah.
If you have to play him legitimate time against a national title contender, the talent gap's going to show up there. And so I like there's everything that I saw. I was just like, oh, that's a talent gap, because people used to, and leave it to me to bring everything back to Creighton basketball. But people used to get on Creighton about losing close games all the time, right? Especially in like the Doug McDermott era-ish, where they would like lose close games. I was like, this isn't a coaching issue. This is a talent issue. Because Creighton at that time didn't have the guard play. And that's all it is. In close games, in the NCAA tournament, in conference tournaments, and in close basketball games against good basketball teams, guard play gets you shots up. And if you don't have good guard play, you're not getting the shot up you need to win a game. It's the same thing in football. It's less specific, but it's a talent issue across the board. It's not necessarily about scheme or effort or anything like that. If you give 100% effort and a guy that's 30% more talented than you gives 90% effort, he wins.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. Like when I watch Michigan, that's all I saw was that team's a hell of a lot better than Nebraska.
So that's what boils down to my analysis of this game. Nebraska runs, we're a Big Ten team. We just get out Big Ten by teams like Michigan.
Michigan out Big Ten everybody. Big Ten, Ohio State the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. And Ohio State's way more talented than Nebraska.
Not even close.
Yeah. Like it's not even in the neighborhood. Right. But they out Big Ten everyone. Michigan was like, hey, I like this Big Ten model. Now let's shoot a bunch of testosterone in its ass and we're going to turn it into Michigan. Like that's basically what happened. And so they out Big Ten everybody. Like this isn't a Nebraska specific problem. No. They've done this to everybody for the last 3 years. Ever since the post COVID year where Harbaugh was on a little bit of a hot seat, he got that thing rolling, and they've taken the Big Ten model and just put it on steroids, and they're good to go now. So, like, if you're trying to beat them at their own game, you lose.
Yeah.
So-
Especially at this point in the process for Rule.
So we have Ravi Lulla on mic suggesting that the Michigan team is
Well,
on
he's not.
steroids.
Hold on. He's not on mic. He's on a mic.
Yeah. On
on me yet.
Suggesting the Michigan team is on steroids. Put it on the mic.
Yeah, that's what Nebraska did in the 70s and 80s. We should do that again.
I encourage it. No,
Yes, highly recommend it.
Ravi Lulla here for steroids.
Yes, absolutely.
Actually,
Yes.
in like baseball, I am a big steroid guy.
Oh.
I need them to just be juicing up like they were in the
Hell
late
yeah.
Mark
90s.
McGuire is my hero.
Tell me-
Everybody wants to see 600-foot home runs. Nobody wants to see 1-0. All right. Like,
Yeah.
I grew up going to the College World Series before they modified the bats. Like, I
Way
want,
better.
yes, I want the juiced bats, the juiced balls, and the juiced ball players on the diamond.
It's fun.
Because baseball is more fun when, like, I was at the 1998 College World Series final. That was like 21-14.
Hell yeah.
Southern Cal beat Arizona State.
And it wasn't a football game.
And it would, no, that was a baseball score. And it was maybe the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yay. So growing up, my favorite baseball player ever was Jason Giambi.
Okay.
And comes out, I'm like 9 years old. Jason Giambi using steroids. I had so many people like, do you not like him anymore? I was like, are you shitting me?
Yeah.
I love this guy. He's still smacking 500 footers.
Be like,
It's worse.
I not only like him, I admire him for being willing to give himself injections to be better at baseball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He wants to win.
Most
that's
people,
a dog.
Most people won't give themselves injections for their health.
Yeah.
Like, they're afraid of needles at the doctor, and this guy's like, "Oh, it can help me hit a baseball 3 feet further. I'm in."
Yeah.
Okay, but we have a guy on the roster right now that got in trouble for doing that last season,
Yeah.
and he's not playing like Barry Bonds.
That's because he's off the juice now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the
if
problem.
we would have got him last year, he
Yeah.
would have been
He
playing
would've-
like Michigan.
He would have cranked it up.
The only problem with steroids is when you stop taking them.
Or when you get caught, you gotta be able to cycle these things right.
Yeah, right.
Also, like, I would love to see like a fully roided up Usain Bolt run 100 meters.
Oh, it'd be incredible.
Like, let's get an 8-9 in there. Like, forget 9 seconds. Like, let's break 9 seconds in the 100.
Give me a section of the Olympics
Yes.
where everyone's allowed to
Just
juice.
full steroid game.
See what these people can
Steroid
do.
Yeah,
games.
let's
just
see
call
what
it the
they can do.
steroid games.
Absolutely. I am on board. I think
Fine.
that's like an SNL skit, but I'm serious. I would
No, yeah.
I would love that.
Imagine just getting all the athletes that are about to like retire from the Olympics
And just like juice
and
them.
then just juice them.
Yeah, just be like,
Yeah.
hey, let's see what happens.
That should be a requirement. Like, if you're not juiced, you're not playing. If you're not juiced, you're not
I
participating.
actually want the prime athletes to juice because I want to see the peak of human performance.
It'd be pretty fun,
Like,
right?
I want to see a 24-year-old Usain Bolt at the 2008 Olympics full juice.
You want to see veins popping.
I want primo vascularity.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
vascular, but damn it.
They're,
I figured we hit our vascular.
they're giving tests.
there
And if you're
is no
not
limit.
above a certain limit,
Yes.
they're just like, no,
You
sorry,
fail
you
the drug
can't
test for
compete.
being too low. This is in non-contact sports only, by the way. I don't want anybody getting killed.
I
No
guess.
football, no boxing,
No
no
hockey.
MMA, certainly no hockey because they have knives on their feet.
Yeah.
Shit.
Like, that's a bad idea.
Ooh.
But non-contact sports, like, yeah, let's juice these babies up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm down for the contact. I mean, I'm not playing. So
Don't tempt me with a good time.
So, someone did ask on here, is it possible for a rule to close the talent gap by year 3? And I guess
Close the talent gap with who?
well, and that's the thing. I'm assuming he means Michigan. Do you think that that's possible at all? With the portal and all this.
Close it, yes. Catch it, I don't know.
Right.
Because it also depends on what Michigan does 2-3 years from now, right? Like, is Harbaugh in the NFL? Is he still
Yes.
at Michigan? Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah.
These things don't happen in a vacuum. Will Nebraska be more talented 2 years from now than they are now? Yeah, absolutely. I have no idea if Michigan will be or not. I think they will be in a place 2 years from now, so in year 3, that they can be competitive with just about anybody. Can they beat everybody on any given day? Probably not. But if they play well and they get some of those breaks because they've closed the talent gap, then they could play. I mean, it's what we saw 2 years ago, right? Like, that was a playoff Michigan team, not as good as this Michigan team. It was a playoff Michigan team and a more talented at the time, I think, Nebraska team, certainly more cohesive just because they've been playing together for longer
Mhm.
and playing the same systems for longer. Like, they played that within, they should have won that game, right? If Adrian Martinez doesn't fumble, like they win that game.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if Scott Frost, the moron, can get them to that place in year 4.
I'm sorry. Former head coach Scott. We can't
yeah.
we can't let it slide that many times.
Yeah, we missed it a couple times on the live show.
We don't say his name on this.
You
podcast.
said moron. That kind of.
we can roll with that too.
You can say, when we refer to the quarterback, you can say, I love Scott Frost. Like, he played very well for Nebraska. But when we talk about coaching, it is Scott.
Fair. Yeah, like I'll just call him Margaritaville.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
No, that's being disrespectful to Jimmy Buffett. R.I.P.
Yes.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
But pour one out for Jimmy. Not actually, just
Drink it.
metaphorically.
Jimmy
Pour
would want us to drink.
Yeah, he wants you to pour it out into your mouth.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, if that schmuck can get that close to some really good teams in year 4, like Matt Rule can figure it out because he's actually a competent football coach.
So
Love that word.
a question as we talk about, closing gaps in talent, obviously recruiting a huge, massive part of that. Do you think as we get into the big 18 now, as of next year,
Whatever it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever the number is.
Doesn't matter.
do you think that Nebraska being a Big Ten team, does that lose a little bit of luster when you look at all of these incredible programs inside the Big Ten, especially looking at the additions of USC, like
Washington.
Yeah, Washington. Do you see the luster of Nebraska kind of fading away as these newer programs come into the conference? Do you see the Big Ten as just a part of the conference still being a big factor?
Yeah, I don't necessarily see the luster of Nebraska fading. I think it puts more pressure on them, right? Because you're competing against more really high quality programs. And so that is, to me, it's more pressure. Just, hey, you can't skate by in a weak ass Big Ten West. You can't just figure out a way to get to 7 wins and all of a sudden on the last weekend of the season you're playing for a spot in the Big Ten title game. That's not going to happen anymore.
Mhm.
But it also provides this opportunity as we go into a 12-team playoff where your strength of schedule is always going to be incredible, right? So if you do get functional where you're up to 9-10 wins, all of a sudden you're right on the doorstep of making the playoff without ever having to even play for a Big Ten title. I mean, there's going to be teams both in the SEC and the Big Ten that never sniff a conference title that are in the playoff, right? It's going to be the same thing you see with college basketball, right? Like Kansas won like 2018 Big 12 titles in a row. And guess what? A bunch of other teams were really good and still made the NCAA tournament and made runs and made Final Fours and things like that, right? Like, yeah, Kansas was still the cream of the crop. Like Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, one of those teams probably still going to be the cream of the crop.
Duke.
Obviously, Duke,
Okay.
yeah.
I just had to throw that in there.
Elite.
Yeah.
Although I do really like Mike Elko down there. But, you could be in a position where you really are getting better and getting in a place where you're competing for a national title and you haven't even gotten ahead of those teams yet, right? Like, so it's a lot more pressure because you have more. It seems like there's more teams ahead of you. You have to climb that mountain, but there's also more opportunity ahead of you pretty soon too.
Yeah, I also think that some of these teams that are joining the Big Ten, if you remember, if we go back in time to when Nebraska had to join the Big Ten, there was a learning curve after a while.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, USC's in trouble.
Yeah, you have to adapt to this monster that is the Big Ten. You could say that you're going to let the conference adapt, or no, they're going to have to adapt to you, but that's not going to happen. Like,
Yeah, how often has that worked out when people
you're right.
Yeah.
Like, the physicality of this league is just, it's on a different level. And I know the SEC is similar, but
built different?
you need guys. You need dudes at the offensive line in the trenches and stuff like that. And some of these West Coast teams, they lack those because they're fast. Soft.
Honestly, Oregon's the one that's in the best place to compete right away because their lines are on point.
Yeah.
That's why they beat Colorado in a different way than USC did, right? USC didn't have the domination in the trenches to just totally break Colorado's will the way Oregon could have put up 80 if they wanted to. And USC genuinely felt like they were holding on for dear life by the end of that thing. And not just because they packed it in early or anything like that. Like they didn't have the physicality to break Colorado's will. So I'm really interested to see how Oregon versus USC plays out as they move to the Big Ten, because I think Oregon's ready to go in terms of being prepared for that physicality. And I don't think USC is even in the neighborhood. And you're losing Caleb Williams next year.
Potentially.
Come on.
Hey, he has
Okay.
talked about multiple times that, in fact, I think today,
Just
he
today,
said-
yeah.
Yeah, today he said, I can
What'd
make
he
more
say?
money at USC than signing a rookie contract in the NFL. Like, I don't have to go.
No, he doesn't have to go, but I assume that he will because that's what everybody does.
You would
Mhm.
think.
It's okay. You get a 1-year deal that's worth more than the first year of your rookie deal, but you don't have 4 of those guaranteed, right?
Mhm.
Like it's a different deal, right? So more guaranteed money on those rookie deals than he could get at 1 more year at USC. Plus, does he really want to get his ass kicked by the Big Ten?
Probably not. That's a good
So
time for him
learning
to leave.
curve. It's definitely
Yeah.
a gamble. Yeah.
It is because he doesn't know. Like he genuinely can't know what his line will hold up like against the Big Ten. He can't.
Yeah.
And I don't like their chance. Like I'm not saying they're going to be bad, but if they drop back to 8-4, would that surprise anybody?
No.
Not
Because
at all.
there's some teams that are going to beat them up,
Oh yeah.
and
Michigan.
maybe they get it
Penn
fixed.
State.
Michigan, Penn State. It wouldn't surprise me if if they get into some super ugly game against a former Big Ten West team. And like, would it really shock you if Minnesota just found
No.
a way to just
Or
drag
Wisconsin.
them?
Wisconsin.
Yeah, just drag them into the mud and make their lives miserable for an afternoon. Like that's totally on the table.
Iowa gets a couple pick sixes and a lucky punt return.
yeah.
Come on.
Iowa's going to score 28 points off of non-offensive touchdowns and win that game 28-24. Like,
Telling you.
So my question, and this is we're getting a little off track here, but with Caleb Williams' talent and seeing what scouts are saying about him, do you think an 8-4 season, if he chose to stay and he goes 8-4 the next year, seeing how many NFL teams need a quarterback right now, do you think that's still like, is he still not the number 1 overall pick?
I don't know what it looks like, right? Like it's not just about, hey, they go 8-4, so it knocks him down. Cause I don't think that's it. It's like, hey, he is going to be physically beaten up. Like
Sure.
he's going to go through a physical toll.
More about injury.
Yes.
Yeah, whether it's injury or just like,
His production is not going to be as great.
yeah, the production.
Could
His
be
stock will
ministry.
go down.
Yeah, I really don't even think it's about not getting drafted number 1 or anything like that. It's just like, does he want to go through the physical beating of it? Right.
Okay.
Like, because I imagine he would still pick number 1. I imagine he would still, any team would still clamor to have him. But does he want to go through it? Like, that's the real question.
That's fair.
'Cause I wouldn't. Like, and again, I'm not an elite athlete, but like that, I don't know any normal person that's like, yeah, that seems like fun.
Yeah.
And if they are, they're offensive linemen and they're sociopaths. Like, they're all crazy people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like quarterbacks don't think like that. Quarterbacks aren't like, yeah, let's go get hit some more. Like that's not how quarterbacks operate.
Not even Heinrich Harburg thinks that way.
I'm
know.
sure his current agent is like, yeah, no, we're going to the NFL, but
Right.
I'll
That's
tell
what I
you.
mean.
idiot.
I know one quarterback who loved it, and that was Andrew Luck, my captain.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Perfect
And-
time too.
Perfect time. Let's take a quick break,
Yeah.
top off our
I
beers,
knew
and
that
come
one
right
was going
back.
to guess there.
And we'll talk more Husker football when we get back.
Yeah, we're going to
Cool.
talk about Illinois when we get back.
All right.
Cool.
how would you say your mental focus is?
Focused. I think I have a look.
We have to say no block, no rock.
Thanks, Joe.
Enjoy. Yes. No, no.
Shit.
We were saying, yeah, man. So this will eventually lead to the Illinois game this Friday short week. I wanted to ask you guys, and I'll just around whoever wants to hear. Is anyone still entertaining the possibility that Jeff Sims soon?
Well, yeah. No, I would say the possibility of him starting soon. I wouldn't say Friday, but I think
What do you mean by soon?
yeah. If we lose to Illinois,
Are you talking 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I'll say, let's just say,
Before the end of October? Is that soon?
shoot, maybe even sooner than that. Because, like, let's say struggles at Illinois, but it's not like 5 turnovers or anything like that. But it's like, ooh,
no offensive pulse.
I was just
no
about,
offensive pulse. There you go.
yeah, but I'll say it again. The dude protected the football.
Indeed.
So
That's all I want.
The interception, people, it's batted down. His throwing motion's weird.
Yeah, there is a point there.
Well, I mean, if they have one turnover against Minnesota, they win. That's what Harburg's done in 3 games, one turnover.
Yeah.
Right? You can live with one turnover a game. You
Yep.
can't live with more.
Nope.
sure.
Right? So until either Harburg totally implodes, like Spencer Peters implodes ugly, or turns the ball over 4 times, then it's going to be really hard to make that call in terms of Sim starting game. I think we'll see him because he's probably one of the best playmakers on the team, and they don't have a lot of those on offense, right? So you might see him. I do think they probably want to get 20 to 25 QB runs a game, putting those all on one touch.
Yeah.
So if you can 25 runs out of both of them, then maybe that's something you see. But as far as him starting, I can hate, but Harvard something bad would have to happen to Harvard, I think, at this.
I think with this Illinois game, when you talk about, getting those QB rushes in, putting 20-25 on a guy, it's a lot.
It's tough, yeah.
We look at this Illinois defense. I believe last I saw 100 nation in rush defense.
Not good.
Not good. Nebraska is Nebraska. We know this team's identity, whether or not it's rushing offense.
Mhm.
I see Harburg is a track star. He is. Let me run the damn ball. Fleeks had one really good run this last week, but I think a lot of the rushing offense has these. Like we've seen Harburg do it, and I would not be surprised if Sims a little bit in this coming game.
I don't know how healthy he is, but if assuming he's healthy enough to go, because I was actually surprised to not see him against Michigan. I thought we would see both of them at some point against Michigan.
Especially at the end of the game. I stayed in the stadium later. That I was going to see him, and he did not come in.
So, like, that's where because he didn't come in at all against Michigan, I go, okay, is he still not healthy?
I go the opposite way. I don't think it's about his health. I think it's about the calm in him against much harder defense, and being referred to around the state as the turnover machine against a defense that is turning the ball over really well. And, conversely, you look at the Nebraska defense not turning it over. We had to win that turnover battle to be anywhere near being in that game. And if you put a guy like James in that game, the odds be hard
Up against state. I know they're second and third teamers by then, but you put Sims in, he's already hobbled. It's like, oh God, what if he takes a hit? And it's just like,
well, that's the thing. If he's still hobbled, that's the thing that we don't really know, right? Because we know he's been practicing some, at least. We don't know to the degree that he's actually healthy. And so, to me, if you have a set package of plays that you're comfortable with him running, his chances of turning the ball over actually go dramatically down because he's not throwing the ball, which is 3 of his turnovers early. Hopefully, you've got to I understand the snaps count in terms of stuff that he dropped. to me is not going to be a perpetual issue. If it is, he can't play at all, right? Like if he
Sure.
can't hold on to a snap, like
Well,
he's just
my thing
done
about
forever.
the snap though is that Heinrich Harburg has had some drop snaps.
Yeah, he has.
And he quickly fall on top of him. Whereas Jeff is he's bending over, he's trying to pick it up. There's like there is something to be said about the urgency difference in Heinrich Harburg. And again, if I am picking one quarterback over the other, I am going with the guy that protects. I don't that everybody says there's this big upside between Jeff Sims, and there's still this talk about it, and I just don't get it. I don't see it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just insane. Everybody else is talking about it, and I usually tend to go with the masses because I'm a follower. But
Kyle,
I just don't see your upside.
Kyle, what did you say to me in the truck on the way to Lincoln Saturday? What were your exact? Was it what can Jeff Sims do that Harburg can't?
Yeah.
Was those your words?
Yeah.
And I would challenge anybody to answer that.
I think he's more polished as a passer. I know that's not fun to think about, but I really think they're limited in what they're comfortable each call for pass plays for Harburg.
Yep.
Now he's mistake prone as well, right? But I think he's a better natural thrower of the football than Heinrich Harburg is. Now, does that get you anything? Not necessarily.
Right.
But you ask what the difference is. Physically, that's the difference to me. I think his burst initially is better than Harburg's. Like, I think he gets to speed faster. Harburg has good spin speed. You're like that. There's no question there.
Right.
We saw it a couple times. Like when he gets to full speed, he's really tough to catch. I think it takes him longer to speed. And so when you're getting these situations where I need a guy to get 5 or 6 yards, he gets 3 or 4 because he doesn't accelerate through the hole the way the Sims can. So to me, this would be the biggest physical difference. I think Sims is a little bit quicker to top speed, and I think he's a better natural passer of the football. Now, sometimes he trusts his arm too much, and that works again. Sometimes he doesn't get to the hole because he wants to dance around and try and make a big play, whatever. Like, those are all fair criticisms. But in terms of their physical abilities, that's where I would mark the difference between the two guys. Now, how that actually plays out on the field is a totally different equation, which we've kind of seen in real time here.
And you have to look at who is around the. You've got an offensive line. You've got one guy that has a couple different occasions of scoring a 0.0. We've talked about how real those ratings are, whatever. But I'll say this about wide receivers. We are not beating anybody one-on-one.
Ooh, that's actually not true.
Okay, so you've got Billy Kemp that are running the slants, and you've got Tommy Hill taking the top off.
I'm not talking about specific guys.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when you watch the tape, guys get open. Whether it's one-on-one, whether it's schemed open, there are more guys open that are getting the football. The quarter, like, I get the wide receivers are not world beaters, right? Because they're not. But Billy Kemp got open for 4 years in Virginia with not world beaters either, right? Like, Billy Kemp gets open. We don't have a quarterback. Nebraska doesn't have a quarterback that is capable of making the passes on a consistent basis. Because, like, that's what Billy Kemp thrives on, is like a precision passing game. Neither of those two guys are what come to mind when we think precision. In the throws that he feels good about. Sims probably feels good about more throws and maybe shouldn't take some of them that he does, right? But if you watch the tape and are only watching receivers, way more guys are open than get thrown the ball.
So I have a two-parter here.
Okay.
We're talking about guys getting open. We talk about, Jeff Sims being a better natural passer.
Mm-hmm.
So is the issue, if it's not with receivers getting open, does it come down to decision-making from the quarterback?
Yes.
And if Jeff Sims or Harburg are not making those correct decisions, is this really a net gain, loss, or negligible between the passing game if neither of these guys are making the correct decisions?
Yeah, so I think the thing that you're leaning on with Sims is he has a track record of some quality performance against Power 5 teams at Georgia Tech.
Sure.
Yes, he had the turnovers, but if you actually look at his progression over the years at Georgia Tech, he turned the ball over less each year. It was kind of a Cam Jurgens thing there where he had a really tough start turning the ball over, and then it kind of just stuck with him the rest of the time. Like after his freshman year, Cam Jurgens really didn't have that many bad snaps. Like if you actually look at it and count it up, but he carried this stigma of, oh man. So every time he did it after that, It was like, oh God, here we go again with Cam Jurgens, right? That's kind of how it was with Jeff Sims at Georgia Tech. I watch, weirdly, even though I can't name the divisions, a lot of ACC football because I like Florida State a lot. And so I watched Jeff Sims a pretty decent amount. And he had some moments where he was legitimately pretty good. Now, can they find those moments consistently out of him? I have no idea. No one's been able to at this point, right? So maybe it's not a thing that he can do. But that's kind of what I thought about Adrian Martinez. And then he goes to Kansas State, and he looked really good with them when he's not asked to do too much. And they put him in a system that doesn't require him to do every goddamn thing on the football field, right?
Yeah.
And so can they find that balance with Jeff Sims? I don't know, but he's got the talent to make it work if they can.
I'm not downing the talent, but again, turnovers aside, looking at, we talk about receivers getting open.
Yeah.
We say in the Minnesota game, he throws a pick into triple coverage in the end zone, and we have receivers open.
Yeah, no, Broker's standing in the front of the end zone, just being like, please, someone throw me the football. Yeah.
So
no, I know.
My question is less about the turnovers and more about the decision making.
Right. But the poor decision making is what led to the turnovers, right?
Sure.
But, so the poor decision making, usually it's not that he just threw it and it didn't go where he wanted it to go. That's the important distinction. I feel like with Harburg, if he's going to throw interceptions, it's because the ball didn't go where he wanted it to go. That's what I mean. He's not as good of a thrower of the football. Like if Jeff Sims throws an interception, it's because he made the wrong decision. If Heinrich Harburg throws an interception, it's because the ball didn't go where he thought it was going to go.
Okay.
And when I hear
in general, right? Like not
I get it.
When I hear decision making and Jeff Sims in the same sentence, I get a little I don't have the highest confidence in that, especially what we saw. I mean, people forget just how, like, is pathetic too strong a word? Is pathetic too strong a word? Of quarterback play those first two games. I mean, it was
pathetic. I would say bad.
Either way,
I think pathetic is worse.
I would say ineffectual.
There we go.
I mean,
impotent. Is that too strong?
What about flaccid?
I just I'm sorry, Jared. I think my point to the wide receivers not beating anybody is we've already talked about it. There's no 50-50 balls that actually feel like they're 50-50 balls because your wide receivers are just technically not winning that battle.
But we're not throwing 50-50 balls.
That's the thing. Like the number of they've only thrown, I believe the number is 14 over 5 games. They've only thrown 14 total passes in the air over 20 yards. That's less than 3 a game. They're not taking shots.
Not at all.
And some of those 20, some of those, I think they're 3 of 14. I think 2 of the completions are like right at 22 yards on like a deep cut in. And that's, not really a shot either. It's kind of a different thing. And so, I mean, you're talking about like Ofer on actual shots down the field.
Yeah.
And so that's as much like, I haven't seen a ball yet where they threw it in a spot where a receiver could make a 50-50 play. Like that's my issue with the shots down the field is, and I've seen Malachi Coleman, he can do one thing right now, and that's run straight past people.
Yeah.
That's the only thing he's doing on the football field right now. And he does it for like 3 to 5 snaps a game, which they might redshirt him now. So we might not see that anymore, but he was doing it. A couple of those times he'd run by somebody, and I don't think they've actually thrown him a ball yet. Right. So that's as much on the quarterback as it is the receivers. That's kind of my point there.
Yeah, that's insane.
And I don't listen. Like, I'm not trying to stump for the receivers here. Like it's a thin group,
right? I mean, like, yeah, you saw it this weekend. Just guys dropping balls, and
but between the receivers, the tight ends, and the running backs or fullback, whatever you want to put Bonner in, there's enough guys to throw the football that if you had a quarterback that was capable of a precise passing game, you could get it done. Like it's not a great group by any means. You're not talking about Ohio State or even Minnesota. Like Minnesota has some pretty good receivers, but you're not talking about that level of that, but they're good enough to be competent in the passing game if the quarterback is competent in the passing game.
Yeah.
That's my only point. Because a lot of it gets lumped on the wide receivers, but we haven't seen anything out of the quarterbacks yet to be like, yeah, they could do it with better wide receivers.
Yeah.
Like you could give Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm not totally sure they're getting him the football.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's my biggest.
Marvin's like, dude, what the hell?
Right? I mean, it's like Jamar Chase. It's like Jamar Chase in Cincinnati. He's like, I'm open every play.
Yeah.
Right?
Heinrich's like, dude, sorry.
He's like, I don't know. I thought I saw a guy.
Going back to the original question.
I don't even remember what it was.
Entertaining.
Will we see Jeff Sims? I personally think if we lose to Illinois on Friday night and Heinrich looks lost, if he looks like he is just an athlete playing quarterback, if he cannot make any sort of throws to keep us in a football game or keep the drive going, then I would say that I think Jeff Sims would start the following week.
So I don't love that take either. Again, Nebraska being a rushing team and Harvard being a track star against a team that is ranked 108th in rush D.
Yeah, I don't know that he's going to have to make throws against Illinois.
Yeah, we don't need necessarily
but
to make throws.
Let's say they load the box and they're just daring you to throw to wide open Thomas Fedoni. They're daring you to throw to wide open receiver X and Y.
If in that case that he's unable to make
those throws,
then maybe we go back to the table and we take a look at Jeff Sims. But I don't see that necessary. I don't see Illinois being like, oh yeah, throw the ball, pussy.
And
I don't see that being the
totally
case.
sure Jeff Sims can make the throws either. Like
Exactly.
I'm not even saying
the
he
decision
can.
to make the throw.
That's why it all comes down to
Turnovers.
okay. I think that's perfect. Now, I don't know. I don't know if this is red meat to you guys or whatever, but shotgun formation 4th and 1. Are you as
I don't
against
love
it?
I don't.
terrible.
Are you as against it? Like, am I crazy for thinking?
Yes.
Because there's some people like, no. I'm saying it was terrible. There's like people that are like, it wasn't even a terrible call. And I'm just like, it's literally the worst thing you could call. Like, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage right away, right? Am I nuts?
Don't hate it as much as fade passes from inside the 5. I really, really hate that. But it's up there. I mean, it's especially with the push rule now. It doesn't make any sense to ever just not do that.
Push.
I was literally going to bring up, I am not comparing in any way any of our quarterbacks to Jalen Hurts. But that man, every time the tush push works.
Can't stop
Under
it.
center, just you got to get.
It's not just Jalen Hurts. Everybody that does it, it works.
It works.
Everybody that does it.
Why?
I think it's legitimately across college football. I think it's a like 80+% hit rate on a yard or less
Yes.
on that specific play. Like it's almost impossible to stop an offensive line plus a QB sneak and then like 3 guys pushing behind him. Like that's almost impossible to stop.
Here's another thing too. Let's just say you go under center and you don't get it. It's like, okay, fine. Someone got blown up on the line of scrimmage. Michigan made a play.
Mm-hmm.
At least you could say that. But with shotgun
All
formation,
they're going to talk about is the
there's-
shotgun.
I'm crazy.
Well,
no.
I don't think you're
No, no.
crazy.
the only reason
I'm not even a Power 5. I'm
The-
not a Power 5 coordinator. I'm not getting paid $1 million to do this shit.
sometimes they outsmart themselves a little bit. That's the thing that happens. Unless you're going to run something else, like if you're going to run a different play from the shotgun, I can live with that. I'm not a never go shotgun in short yardage situation guy.
Sure.
But if you're going to run a quarterback run anyway, I mean, Rule literally called it a shotgun quarterback sneak, which isn't a thing that should exist.
No.
You're hamstringing yourself
Like that
from
doesn't
the
make
very start.
any sense at all. So if you want to go out of the shotgun and run a different play, like by all means,
Like a read. Run a
Anything.
read.
Little pop pass.
Whatever. Yeah. Do a little RPO, a little naked boot, like whatever you want to do. Right. Little play action, roll out. I'm good with that. But if you're going to run it up the middle with your quarterback anyway, just sneak the ball.
Give yourself back 2 or 3 yards. Right?
Yeah.
Like, why? Why do you have to make it harder?
Why
You're
add
like, we
yardage?
just turn this into a 4th and 4.
Yes.
By the way.
Yeah.
What makes me very concerned about this, guys, is this was after a timeout. And so who is ultimately the decision maker?
Matt Roll.
What the fuck, dude?
I
don't
Ooh, I don't.
He defended
you don't
it.
I don't think
agree
it's
with
Matt
that.
Rule.
I don't think it's. I think it's Matt Rule's decision to go for it.
I think
I
it's
think it's
Satterfield.
Satterfield's decision on what to call. Now he might have veto power, be like, "Hey, I don't like that," but we haven't got to the point yet where Matt Rule is overriding play calls.
Okay, so my question, who is more to blame? If Satterfield is the one that's saying, we're going to get this QB sneak out of the shotgun and Rule doesn't override it, who's more to blame for this?
Well, I think the important thing to
CEO.
understand about Rule,
This is what we wanted.
I think the important thing to understand about Rule is that he coaches his coaches as much as he coaches his players. So he will allow them to make their own mistakes, and then he will coach them up on it later.
It won't happen again.
I would assume not. I
Not
really
gonna
don't.
happen again.
I really
It
don't
will.
think it'll happen again.
It will.
No, it won't.
Yes, it will.
That specific thing, I don't think will happen again. Now they might go out of shotgun short yardage again, but I bet it won't be a sneak. That to me is, I think, because I was talking with DB about this on the morning show, and because I was kind of frustrated about the way they were play calling and some of the things they were doing on the offensive side of the ball, as you can imagine, because it's been friggin' brutal.
Yes.
But the thing that he kept talking to me about was, hey, he's not just coaching the players. He's got a lot of really young coaches. That's what he does as much as anything, is he coaches the coaches. And that's part of the reason the process takes 3 years for Matt Rule instead of, 6 games like you may appear it takes for other guys, right?
Yeah.
Because he's doing it the long way, which he believes is the right way or the sustainable way, right? Is that the right way? Is it the wrong way? Is it more painful than it needs to be? I don't know. But that's the way he does it, and so it takes longer. And it's worked at his 2 previous spots. We don't know if it works past year 4 because, he hadn't been there, and that's fine, right? That's how coaches move. And so we'll see, hopefully here, that whether it's sustainable or not, but that's why it's going to take longer, because he's not coaching the players first. He's coaching the coaches first and then putting them in positions to coach the players. So it's going to take longer than we want it to.
Timmy Bleak Road.
Yeah, we might need
You got to sit him down.
We might need an appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it was really windy. I get it.
Yeah, but it wasn't windy the other games.
It's true.
Like, I mean,
They're not even close. Like, it'd be different.
and they're all over the place. He's
Yes.
missing differently every time. That's the part that concerns me more than anything, is every miss is different.
Yes.
So it's not a consistent thing that he's like, hey, I just have to clean this up. It's almost like he's like searching for it and can't find it. And I still think he's going to end up being a really good kicker, but like you have to get it before he gets in his head. Like you have to go and like let Bleak Road kind of like take the reins for a minute, especially against a game like Minnesota where like it could make the difference in winning or losing, right?
Mhm.
Like
Illinois.
Yep, Illinois.
Illinois would be
Because
one of those.
Tristan Made is at Minnesota.
Yeah,
Hey.
against Illinois, like that could be the field goals. Very well could be important there. I don't think we're going to see a offensive fireworks in that game on either side.
Rest
right?
of the season is going to be like that.
Yeah, so it very well could be, because you're playing a bunch of crap ass Big Ten West teams.
Crap ass, yes.
And
Doo doo ass teams.
That's not true. We play Maryland.
and for what it's worth, I'm including Michigan State as a crap ass Big Ten West team, like honorarily.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
letting them.
Induct them
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
They're
They are
honorary captain in the crap ass Big Ten West. Maryland's might be the scariest team left on the schedule, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
they are.
100%.
Like maybe Wisconsin if they figure their stuff out by then, but
Wisconsin.
They're going air raid, baby. It's working.
Phil Longo.
Do you see this Illinois game maybe being indicative of what Nebraska fans could expect down the road for the rest of the season?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's big. The Illinois game is the same. I think it's going to be a lot like the Minnesota game. I think it's going to be a lot like all the rest of the games against Big Ten West teams, where it's going to be ugly. It's not going to be real enjoyable, but you're going to have every opportunity to come out with a win.
The month of October, you don't have the talent excuse anymore.
No.
Nebraska has just as much.
Illinois, Northwestern, Purdue, Michigan State.
This October is huge.
Honestly, Michigan State's probably the most talented team left on their roster, depending on who's left on their roster by then.
Right.
So
Because they're not even paying their players anymore, supposedly. But
Well, not just that, but we're in their window, right? We're in their post-coach firing window officially.
yeah,
And so we have no idea who's left on the roster by the time Nebraska actually plays them. So from the start of the season, they're probably the most talented roster left in this stretch of 4 games, but I have no idea what that looks like by the time they actually play.
Alante's coming home, baby.
two
injured Alante.
is where Nebraska sits right now.
Mhm.
Is the panic button on the table? And if we lose to Illinois, are you pressing it?
Depends on what it looks like. If it looks like listen, this is the first time. Illinois is the first time the panic button's even on the table, and this is like panic for this season, not for Rule in general, right?
Sure. Yeah, we're
I'm not-
talking about this season specifically.
I'm not bailing on Rule. Certainly not after 6 games.
Right.
But for this season specifically, if they can't find a way to beat Illinois, or certainly if Illinois clearly outplays them, then yeah, I'm going to be pretty concerned. Like that's because Illinois is really not good. They needed a field goal to beat Toledo. They
Florida Atlantic.
barely beat Florida Atlantic.
They got their ass kicked by Kansas.
Yeah, which is good. I like Kansas, but they're not. I mean, it's still Kansas.
Yeah.
Like,
Also,
they're
Lance
good
Leipold is a very good coach.
Oh, Lance Leipold's incredible.
No one's gonna die.
No one's.
Lance Leipold's incredible. I think Kansas is good. They didn't have their starting quarterback against Texas, so that score is misleading. Not that they would have beat Texas anyway, because I know people don't want to hear this, but low-key, Texas might be the best team in the country.
You take that back. No,
I
God, I don't want to get off to Texas.
I'm not far
shit.
behind you, but I do think Michigan is better. I think Michigan's probably the best team in the country.
I think one of those two teams is the best team in the country. Texas has better wins.
I'd agree.
Alabama's the best
easily.
win anybody has in the country this year.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And they physically dominated them by the end of the game. So, like if I'm just on like eye test, I think Texas might be the best team in the country. So I don't put too much stock into that Kansas game. Like Illinois probably should lose that game to Kansas, although they got beat up. It's the Purdue game that I'm like, that's bad, because I don't think Purdue's good. I've watched most of their games this year, I think, and I don't think Purdue's good at all. So that, to me, if I'm Illinois, that's a really concerning result. And if I'm Nebraska, I say, okay, I've got an opportunity here to get on the right track, to get my third win, and to put myself in a position to be bowl eligible before we even get to the final 3 games of the season.
Go. Part of me is very concerned because you see Minnesota beating us, right? First game of the year. And then they lose. They get boat raced by Northwestern, and Northwestern is supposedly supposed to be the worst team in the Big Ten West.
So they didn't get boat raced by Northwestern.
They came back.
They shit the bed against Northwestern.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a different thing.
I would. Well, no, look. I'll say I'm also concerned. Look, Rule said himself. This is find out Friday. You're going to find out about this team, right?
Which, if he's willing to say that out loud, I have to believe
he's calling his team out.
He's confident in what's going to happen.
They got to bring the juice, because Champaign.
If they don't,
been there.
If they don't,
low-key kind of love Champaign. It's
dude.
dirty.
I had a great time there.
It's dirty, but I kind of like it.
But their fans are fun, man.
You love it dirty.
So I've been to 8 Big Ten stadiums, and I probably had the most fun in Champaign.
So I went to one of my best friends in the world is from Champaign. I went to college with him, and he moved back there. But I went to Wisconsin, Illinois back in 2007 when Illinois made the Rose Bowl.
Ooh,
that was Juice
Williams, Rashard Mendenhall, Aurelius Ben.
That's a good team.
Like they were pretty stacked, and they beat
Is that Zook?
Yeah, that was the Zucker.
Okay.
And they beat this Wisconsin team that was supposed to be really good. They had, what was it, Nick Toon, I think was the big receiver on that team.
I remember that guy.
And so I had a ton of fun at Illinois. Like I've been there several times. Champaign. They have this little, I think it still exists. This place called Fat Sandwich, where it's this little sandwich joint where you can put literally anything on a sandwich. Like you can put mozzarella sticks, you can put chicken tenders.
What did you put on yours?
You can put jalapeno poppers. So I did cheese, pepperoni, mozzarella sticks.
More.
I think.
Okay, mozzarella sticks is a great choice.
Yeah,
dude, I put those on.
Hold on,
chicken
so
tenders.
Were they fried mozzarella sticks, or they were just like mozzarella cheese sticks?
No, like fried mozzarella.
Okay,
Yes,
that's a dog.
Good.
And I think chicken tenders.
Oh my
God. It was basically like a chicken parmesan.
Okay.
Like a dish on a hoagie roll.
I fuck with it.
Marinara.
I had the marinara. It was incredible. But so you can put anything imaginable on these sandwiches, and they're elite.
So I'm a child,
love it.
but this is like a Build-A-Bear, but
Yes,
for sandwiches.
Basically, yeah.
Oh, hell
I'm about it.
It's a choose your own adventure of sandwiches.
Yeah, exactly.
Just don't put ketchup on it.
Well, I mean, marinara is just fancy ketchup, but
Hey,
That's true.
Hey,
it depends
take
on
that back.
Hold on. So, gosh dang it, I felt like I had a point before about the game. I know we got
Mozzarella
mozzarella
sticks.
chicken tendies.
A little tendy action.
No, well, hold on.
Runny Ranch.
Hold on. Stop it.
Build-A-Bear.
No. Oh, find out Friday.
Find out Friday.
The other thing too that's just like giving me pause.
Vegas thinks they're gonna win.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just telling you.
Was it 3.5, 4, or whatever?
3.5.
Now, yeah, go.
No, you go.
No, go. What?
I was gonna say Vegas has the line at -3.5 Illinois right now. Last I saw. Again, as our resident gambler,
Oh, jeez.
I'll tell you, Thursday night that line will shift. Sharps don't come in until 24 hours before the game.
So where do you think it's shifting?
I see it coming down. I see the line ending at Illinois by 2.
Oh no.
I think Illinois by 2.
Our resident gambler sucks.
Hold on.
Hey, I want to
Ravi
point out.
has taken a dump
I want to
on the
point out.
resident gambler.
I sent you guys my picks before I put out the cover corner this week, which, by the way, if you have not checked out our TikTok, check out our gambling picks every week.
Yes, please.
I sent 11 picks.
But
in that
don't
group chat
subscribe
this
to their
week.
TikTok because if they get to 10,000, you're going to be paying these jamokes. So
Yeah.
don't do it.
These jabronis.
I sent 11 picks in that group chat, and those were the picks I was going to decide between. I went 11-0 on that list.
Pretty good.
3-0 on TikTok,
It's fine.
8-0 on the picks I did not feature.
Which means you're about to go like 1-10 for a couple
yeah.
of weeks.
Bro, dude, I'm hitting so hard. It's been ridiculous. I am on a hot streak. I know it's not going to last. That's how gambling goes. It's called gambling. It's not called winning, Mike. I told you that recently.
Indeed.
But
So we're in for a hardcore regression here.
It's gonna just
I
fucking crash and burn.
I think this line comes down in favor of Nebraska. Nebraska will not be favored going into this game, but the line will come down from 3.5.
My guy is living in September 1929 right now.
Dude, you're in the black.
That's a great
Black
depression
Tuesday.
joke.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
Kyle, you got the.
He's a teacher. He knows.
do you
I
have
got
the
you.
little chimes? Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So Robbie,
Imagine.
click that for me. Okay, let me go back in time to our first episode of the season when we were talking about what is Nebraska going to do to Illinois, and I said Bert Bielema is one of the best coaches in the Big Ten.
Go on.
I think the line's right. I really do.
And look, the other
Like,
thing
am I the only one at the table that thinks that we're going to lose on Friday?
listen, I see Luke Reimer's not playing. I see Deshaun Singleton's not playing. And I'm just like,
Nebraska's winning on Friday. Nebraska's going to win on Friday.
So, but you disagree with me saying the line's going to come down?
Hold on. I may have misunderstood.
Yeah, I was saying the line will
so
come
he's
down.
been right this whole time?
Yeah. I
So
said
it's not the Great Depression.
the line is Illinois minus 3.5. I said it's going to come down to Illinois minus 2. Yeah, I was saying the line's coming
no, you're
down.
fine then. Yeah, these guys are idiots. You're fine.
Oh, okay, see?
Oh, get the.
No, I
Robbie,
think
my
that's-
dog.
no, Nebraska's winning on Friday. Like full stop. Nebraska's
Okay.
winning that game on Friday.
Okay, we'll
I
make
mean-
a clip. We'll make a clip. Say it one more time for the camera.
Nebraska is winning on Friday.
Okay,
I
good.
just,
We'll make a clip regardless.
Nebraska fans look at Illinois, say winnable game. Illinois fans look at Nebraska and say winnable game. Neither deserves to say it. That's
Right.
Well, no. Winnable game, yes. If you're counting it as a win, then you don't.
Like you.
No, I'm saying they're going to win now in the week. If you're looking at the season, if you're looking at the schedule ahead of the season, you go like, oh, we're Nebraska. That's a win. That's a win. That's a win.
It's not a thing anymore.
That's not a thing for Nebraska anymore. Okay. But if you look at it and say, hey, that's a winnable game, that's reasonable because that's a
Yeah.
game you are capable of winning. Michigan was not a winnable game.
That's not true. If you ask some dumbass college football fans, you're like, any game's possible. And any Saturday.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
That's stupid.
I've been
It's gonna
saying
be
that,
nice.
I've been saying that for 23 games in a row that Nebraska's faced a ranked opponent, and we've lost every single one.
It's gonna
I
happen.
swear,
It's gonna happen.
Driving to
Not.
Lincoln on Saturday, like as we were going there, Kyle and I were talking about this. You know, at that point, it was 22 ranked opponents in a row that we had lost to. And as Kyle was talking about it, I was just staring at the steering wheel because I wanted to make sure he wasn't going to drive me into a wall.
Yank it right in the.
He seemed so sad talking about it. And I think obviously we both knew what we were, walking into for that game, but was so terrified for my life
Yeah,
for a
I
couple
mean,
of minutes.
Like, I understand that that's a really bad stat, but also Nebraska's been the worst team in like most of those 23 games.
Yo, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's it's not about, oh, they can't beat a ranked team. It's they're not good enough to be in the neighborhood where they should be beating ranked teams.
Yeah.
This isn't one of those situations where, like, every once in a while there's those stats where a good team is like, oh, they haven't beat a ranked team in X amount of years. It's really weird because they're pretty solid the rest of the time. That's not what's happening here. Nebraska's just bad.
Isn't
Their
that-
record against everybody is bad.
Isn't that kind of the rule thing? Like, he doesn't beat any ranked teams. Well, yeah, because most of the time when he played a ranked team, his team was a lot worse because they were in a year 1 or year 2.
Yeah,
of his
exactly. Like
thing.
70% of his years, they weren't good yet.
Right.
Right. So you can make it look like whatever you want. They were basically a field goal against Oklahoma away from playing in a college football playoff. So I'll take that. Right. Like
Yes.
I'm good with that. But no, I mean, like it's totally fair to say it's a winnable game. To say it is a for sure win is not fair. Nebraska doesn't have any of those anymore. Those don't exist for Nebraska in their current state of the program.
But you said
I said they're going to win this week.
so. You. But
Well, he's doing it week by
you
week.
said-
He's doing it week by
I'm
week.
doing
though.
it week by week. I'm not,
Not
going
at the beginning.
I'm not going at the beginning of the season.
Okay.
and saying like, oh, they're definitely going to win there. They're definitely going to win there.
Yeah.
In the moment. And honestly, I'm basing this a lot. Like, I don't think there's any way Rule says you're going to find out about us this week unless he knows what he's getting out of his team.
So catch me outside.
That is another thing I actually wanted to bring up earlier in this episode. How do you feel about Matt Rule pushing his chips to the middle of the table, going all in on this game, saying you're going to find out what we are about, what I'm about in this game? How do you feel about that?
I love it because it's how I felt anyway, because I just appreciate that he wasn't afraid of verbalizing it, because everybody knows like, hey, yeah, you were going to get beat by Michigan. Now, the degree to which you got beat by Michigan was up for debate, but it was somewhere between sort of ugly and very ugly, and we landed on very ugly, right?
Sure.
Like those were the only options.
Yeah.
And so everybody knew how that was going to go. So you've got a short week against a winnable game and on the road against a Big Ten West opponent. Like everybody knows this is where you find out what Nebraska's made of. So I love the fact that he's not afraid to say it out loud, because so many coaches are like, oh, well, it's a long season and we've got a lot of developing to do. And, we got some guys banged up, so I don't want to put it, whatever, all this coach speak nonsense. He's like, hey, you're going to find out on Friday.
And here's the thing, too.
For good or bad, you're going to find out on Friday.
Like, this is going to be one of those sound bites that's either played forever for good or for bad.
Yeah.
But he added the caveat of this isn't necessarily about winning or losing. It's how you come out. Do you come out with your hair on fire? So,
and I agree for that point. Like, if they come out ready to play and ready to execute, and for whatever reason there is a hair up Illinois' ass and they execute and play their best game of the season and Nebraska loses, I can live with that.
Which they probably will.
If Nebraska plays well and for some reason doesn't win, I can live with that.
Yeah.
If they come out flat and aren't ready to play against Illinois, that's what I don't think is going to happen, because he said that. I don't think there's any chance that happens. And I think it's a very low chance that if Nebraska actually plays well, that Illinois can beat them.
Do you fear that Matt Rule might have made this personal?
For Bert, you think Bert put that up on the locker room?
Yeah.
That he put, you're going to find out what we're made of. You're going to find out on Friday what I'm made of. I bet you he did.
Maybe, but he's not even talking about Illinois.
He's not talking about Illinois.
He's not talking about Illinois at all.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Now,
You could twist it.
But did Matt Rule talk about Colorado
No,
at
he
all?
super didn't. Like, that's why I hate all of this nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
About
totally dumb.
About, oh, I've got a chip on my shoulder and like, oh, I'm built different and all this bullshit. Like, I hate all of it because it's all made up. Like, nobody's actually slighting anyone.
No.
Because everybody's so PR conscious now, which, whatever, I don't care. But no one actually says anything that you could take personally.
No. And
it's all made up nonsense.
Matt Rule genuinely, like, I'm going to say genuinely a lot here, seems like a very genuine guy. Like, he's out here. He's just trying to coach the best team he can, get the most out of his guys that he can. Like, he's not said anything offensive.
No. And honestly, this is probably the most, it's not offensive, but the most kind of out there statement he's made is like, you'll find out on Friday. That's the craziest thing he said so far.
Find out Friday.
That's not true. He went on the 50-yard line in Colorado and disrespected.
Yeah, I heard that he pulled down his pants and took a shit on the Buffalo. Is that true?
No, I think that was just their logo.
It was like really grainy video, but no. Yeah, like
Is that a shit?
There was piss on
Out of
the,
his doo-doo ass?
there was piss on the sideline, but it came from the Colorado fans.
Yeah.
from water balloons.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're at a good point where we can maybe just go around the table. Let's give our score predictions for Friday. Sorry, I was going to say Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't want to go. I don't want to.
Let Ravi kick it off because
I
he's
don't wanna do it.
confident.
I don't want to.
He's confident that Nebraska's going to win on Friday.
Nebraska wins.
And remember this, because you got to say this on the radio later this week, right?
I can change it later.
We're just going to respond to you en masse in tweets.
This is Monday. You guys only have 10,000 TikTok followers. How big can you be?
Right. That's how we get to 10, is by calling your ass out.
Robbie, that is hurtful, but so fair.
No, I really hope you guys get your 10,000 followers. Everybody go follow No Block, No Rock on TikTok. No, I'm going to go Nebraska wins 23-13.
Which way do we want to go here?
Connor, you go.
All right. So, Ravi, you and I are actually pretty close. I'm going to, for the third time this season,
Oh, my God.
What's he doing?
The same prediction.
Nebraska 31, Illinois 14. 31-14.
God, if Nebraska scores 31, the entire state's going to need a change of shorts.
Yeah.
Oh, if we win a game, I'm changing my shorts.
Well, that's just because the weather's changing.
Yeah, that's it. You're going to
Yeah.
jeans. Sticky,
Robbie winked at me
sticky-
when he said that.
sticky,
Did you guys
sticky
see that?
jeans. KB, what you got?
Oh boy. In every loss this year, the opponent has scored over 30 points on Illinois, and that is not something that I think Nebraska is capable of at this moment. I'm gonna say, boy, it's gonna be a close one. I think it's gonna be like 24-21. Do I do it?
Do it.
What's your guts?
Do it.
I'm gonna say Illinois.
Oh,
24,
no. I didn't
21
mean that.
Illinois. I just can't bet against Burt. I
What a
can't do it.
hater.
I know. I can't do it.
Thought
I
this was a-
slashed his tires before he
I
came
thought this
inside,
was a
don't worry.
Nebraska podcast.
No, this is a realistic.
This is definitely a Nebraska podcast. We
Yeah.
watch every game.
Yeah.
Hey,
Unfortunately.
I will point out.
without blinders on.
I will point out every time I've called 31-14, I've been pretty goddamn close. I have like an average like loss margin of like 3 combined points per game.
Okay.
He said,
Okay.
I
Shut
don't,
up.
I don't, I don't
Fuck
care.
you.
Yeah, I don't. Like I said,
SMD.
we went back in time a little bit ago, and I talked about how I thought Illinois would win this game, and I thought Illinois was going to be like I thought Illinois would like maybe contend for the West, and they probably still can, but
they're not going.
no,
to.
they're not going to. Probably not. With that being said, I've been to Champaign. I know like the mental makeup of this team is still soft, so I just think something's going to happen on special teams, and I think Nebraska's going to lose this game 17-16. Another close loss, though.
Linning.
It's adorable. You think Nebraska's going to make 3 field goals?
No, that's a miss PAT.
Because Timmy's going, baby.
That's a miss PAT.
Fair enough.
Or 2 tutties and a safety.
I don't know how we're going to get there, but 17-16. Two-point conversions.
There you go.
I remember Nebraska going to Champaign in 2015. That final was 14-13.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be the exact same thing. 14-13. Same winning team. I think Illinois is going to beat Nebraska.
What a bunch of losers.
God.
We're the only.
Yeah.
And like I'm not smiling because I'm happy. I'm smiling because I'm like inside.
It's a coping.
You're dying.
I'm
inside.
hiding.
Yeah.
Robbie.
I am dying inside.
I think let's make
Next.
a bet. Let's make a bet.
Yeah.
I'll make a bet.
Yeah.
Nebraska's winning this game. I'll make a bet.
Dude.
Okay. What are the terms?
What are the stakes?
stakes?
Yeah. What are the stakes here?
I mean, is it monetary?
No. I don't bet
We ain't got
money.
no money.
We don't gamble.
We don't have 10,000 TikTok followers
But the shit
Yet.
yet.
soon.
Soon.
I
Come on.
I don't know.
Bill.
What do
Follow
you guys
us.
like? What's your favorite? Like, do you have like a favorite liquor that you like? Like, what do we got?
I'm a JMO
Oh.
guy.
Oh, we can.
So we're gonna need odds on this, Robbie.
What, like
'Cause
Jameson?
They got 3 of them to 2
Well,
of
look
us.
at him.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Jamison. You're saying it wrong. Jamison.
I offer you a bottle and you go Jameson?
Well, what do you want me to say? Freaking
No, it's too late.
Evan.
Proper 12.
You already.
Well, no, listen.
I'll buy you proper 12.
Robert, wow. See, I'm not one of those guys who's like, give me a 50-year. Shut up. I don't need that shit. Just give me a Jameson and ginger ale. I'm good, baby.
Okay, so what do you want the odds to be?
Well, they got 3 of them, the 2 of us, right?
Okay,
So
so
we need some.
we need
odds.
like
Something that
we
you
need
guys
like
can just like make out, eat pizza, and
we need
drink
like
together.
50% juice on this. Is what
Yeah.
you're saying?
You guys, Keith. Now, Keith.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
You two freaking sunshine pumpers can Keith.
Yeah. Sunshine bumpers.
How about this? We'll throw it out to one of our sponsors that I don't know that we've talked about yet. Herd at Sports Bar, who provides the food for our guests and for us every week.
Yeah.
If Ravi and I win,
Yep.
you buy us dinner and drinks at Herd at Sports Bar.
Okay.
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 If you win,
Oh God.
we buy you guys a couple appetizers and some drinks.
Oh God. You're like
So-
you're that fucking cheap. Just buy us the meal.
Just buy us the
no,
meal.
no.
You own a brewery, motherfucker.
You have more guys on your side.
Oh, boo.
you have
I
more
know.
guys on your side.
You think we're gonna pay for it? The podcast will pay for it.
Yeah. So then why? The podcast is paying either way then, because I'm on the podcast too.
No, Robbie's paying.
I'm not paying
Oh.
for shit.
You get the Ravi discount though.
All right.
Yeah, free
How about-
99.
How
I
about
was saying,
this?
I was saying
What's-
if
what-
we lose, I'll use my discount and the podcast can use the funds.
Oh, I was gonna say, how about this? Whoever loses gets put on the NBNR social media, all platforms,
Oh,
and Ravi's,
Mhm.
they get put up with a big tag underneath that just says "loser."
fucking
That'll work. I'm down.
I'll take that.
Down.
I'll take that.
Dude, that's a win. Seriously, like, it's a win for me because if Nebraska wins, I'm happy. And I don't give a fuck if I'm a loser
Yeah.
because I won.
Hey, Ravi, I'll have those graphics made of them tonight.
Yeah,
Don't
let's
worry.
do it.
All right, that's good. That'll
in.
work.
Yeah, I bet Kyle does a better job with the graphics.
dude. Just because
I still want you
Robbie's
guys.
gonna be floating on a unicorn. Loser.
fucking
He's gonna be riding Burt Bielema. Loser.
We
As long
gotta
as
put,
Brett Bielema's not riding me.
we gotta
Have the
put
turntables.
I don't have that kind of weight clearance on me.
that man is big. That's a big man.
He's a big boy. He's thick with 3 C's.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
yeah.
All right.
Got a
What
dump
were you
truck.
gonna? What were you gonna say? You're gonna say something.
Oh, I was gonna say
can't
we should.
fucking-
If we're gonna put losers up, we got to put winner up too.
Yeah.
Like, so you got to put me and Ravi with winner underneath. Our
And it'll be
faces.
us three in an action hero movie.
You two laying in the bed with pizza. Winners.
That's your corn nuggets.
Not a
You
big,
picture me laying in my bed, feet crossed,
Not a big-
hands under the chin.
not a big corn nugget guy, but sure.
All right.
Giving each other a reach around.
Yeah.
No, a
Peach
peach
around.
around.
A reach
Jesus.
around.
Mervin,
No.
one of our listeners said 31-14 Huskers.
Who said that?
March.
Mervin.
Merv.
Hey, Merv, you're my dog. 31-14,
All right.
Yeah,
as
Mervin.
the good Lord intended.
Yeah, Mervin. They're definitely gonna score 30 plus. Good job.
Every loss Illinois has taken this season, 30 plus points.
I hope that happens. I'll
Same.
gladly change my profile picture to me saying I'm a loser. I don't care. I would love Nebraska to win. I don't care what I have like 200 followers on Twitter. You think I give a flying
No, we're gonna put you on
a
the
flying
10,000.
Burt?
Yeah.
A flying Burt, huh?
I have always wanted to fly on Burt Bielema though.
Yeah.
Looks fun.
I don't know how much you'd have to get some velocity to get that weight off the ground.
Yeah.
He could do it.
Okay, 747s get off. Burt's got to be close.
Yeah.
He can do a running start. Just give him a long runway.
I was like, give him
Like a plane.
give him a burrito, and
It's like the carrot stick. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm at the gas from the propulsion would get him off.
Oh.
Yeah, either one works.
All right. Well, Ravi, this is where we throw it over to you. You tell our faithful and loyal listeners where they can find you if they want them to find you, where they can listen to you.
Sure.
Any like merch that you're selling? I don't know.
I don't have any merch. You can listen to me every weekday morning on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, or Herd at Sports, all their channels. The Damon Benning Show with Ravi Lulla, or you can find me on Twitter at RA Lulla. That's LULLA. That's about it. That's where I'm at.
All right, man. Well,
You can follow me on Instagram too if you really want to. I don't really post I don't post sports content on there, but if you want to scroll back like 2 years and find when I was jacked, you can do that. But
Yeah.
that's about it.
Hey,
long time ago.
Who says you're not Jack now?
I'm not anymore.
Dude,
You
it's 'cause
look good.
he got
He's
off
like
the
me.
fucking steroids.
No,
He got on
I-
juice. Juice him up.
my eyeball started bleeding, and they're like, "You can't lift anymore." And I was like, "Okay."
Oh, that's a good reason.
like, dude,
Fair enough.
No, it was like, "Hey, your retinas are going to keep falling off. Don't do that anymore." I was like, "Okay."
Falling off.
That's right.
that's a
man.
good
I've heard that
reason.
happen. Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Were we going to
NBNR.
punt, pass, and kick this thing?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Shoot.
Come
Yes,
on.
let's
Yeah, just skip it.
we have to wrap
You're
up
right.
with that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna set the set. We initially had talked about 120 yards total. We have reduced that because I know for all of our followers that have seen us or met us in person, you know we are the most athletic guys in the world.
Obviously.
However, we have reduced this yardage to 100 combined between a punt, a pass, and kicking and making.
But we get 3 attempts
A
to
field
make the
goal.
kick, right?
But we get 3 attempts to make a field goal.
Off a tee.
And we get a month to prep.
Yes, we'll give a month to prep.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
We're gonna start with
blow my
Ravi.
shoulder out.
Ravi, with a punt, a pass, and making a PAT with 3 attempts,
Yeah.
do you think you get that done at 100 yards?
I can do 100 yards. Yeah. I
You
can
think
do
so?
that. Absolutely. Yeah. The pass will carry the weight on that one.
Not
Yeah.
the punt?
No, I have a pretty good arm.
I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because when he was jacked, that was
Yeah.
No, it's 'cause
injecting in the right arm.
when I played baseball when I was younger, I have a pretty good arm. Yeah.
You pitcher?
Yeah, I was pitcher. Like as of like relatively recently, I could throw a ball 50 yards in the air still. Like within the last like 3 years. So I can get there. I'll be okay.
Jared?
Just to keep expectations low. Hell no.
Yeah.
So when I do it, yay!
Yeah,
I didn't think I could do it.
You said doo-doo.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I've said doo-doo ass like 3 times today.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite.
Well,
thing.
you're a teacher. You have to.
Yeah.
This is where I get it all out.
I meant to the students just saying, you doo-doo ass.
Instead of that, I just say dingus. That kind of fills in the,
That's why I didn't become a teacher, is because I would have been swearing at the children
Oh, yeah.
all day.
Yeah.
I would have been a terrible teacher.
That's how it works.
I can't tell you how many times today I've just taken a deep breath. And in my head, I said, none of this means anything.
Yeah.
None of this shit.
Which is exactly what we want to hear out of our educators.
exactly.
Sorry, I know Damon would be very, very disappointed to hear that, but that is my mindset every day.
Yeah.
Just get through it. It's just a paycheck. Just get through it.
One day we're all gonna die and none of this shit means anything.
Not
So-
a good paycheck because I'm a teacher, but it's a
Yeah,
paycheck.
it's a paycheck.
It's a paycheck.
All right, Mike, what do you got?
Okay. I don't think I can make a field goal, but I'm still gonna still bet on myself. Yeah, because it's 100 yards. I got 3 tries, so shit, I could probably still miss, but we're gonna try.
Yeah.
With a tee, I think helps you get it off in the air.
Yeah.
That's the big key.
Yeah, okay, with the
Like,
tee,
off
yeah.
the ground.
That's what I'm worried about. Is getting it up.
If you're, I mean,
Yeah, I
trust me,
suppose.
Yeah, we've heard that.
for a lot of men, you're
Low.
He's got a kid on the way. He's doing good.
No, they're they're fast swimmers, guys. I looked at her and we got a number 2 on the way. Shit. Ain't no problem in that department.
To be clear, we're counting roll on punt, right?
Yes, we are
Yes.
counting roll on punt, but pass in the air.
Yeah. Pass has to be when it touches the ground.
Yes,
It's down.
pass in the air, but roll on punt, and then the PAT, which we're going 20-yard PAT. I assume the college PAT.
No, whatever you want.
Oh, you can carry from wherever.
No,
No,
if you think you
I'm
got a
saying
leg,
you can make it
I'm
50,
saying
go for it.
it's from whatever yardage you got left.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
where you got to kick.
Oh,
from.
sure.
is it the
Yeah,
back
okay.
of the end zone?
What's that?
So, like you said, 100 yards.
You would
right?
have to go if you were to go as close as you possibly could to the
It'd
goal.
still be like 20.
it would still be like
It would be a minimum of 11 yards. on the
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. I think with a month of preparation,
kick. Absolutely.
100%,
Yeah,
I could
for
I
sure.
could do that.
100%.
100%. And as a matter of fact, we already talked about it.
Hundo.
We're going to do it,
Hundo.
and I'm going to show everybody. I'm going to
Oh,
show
yeah.
everybody, all the doubters.
We're gonna have the
Kyle, do you wanna-
NBNR Steroid Olympics.
Yep.
I'm in.
Presented by
If
Limitless Mail.
if we don't do it, we're gonna juice up and do it again the next year.
Yeah.
We're just gonna juice every year until we can do it.
Yes.
So, for those of you that are wondering, we have talked about the NBNR track meet a lot.
Oh, let's change this.
No,
Hey, Ravi.
Oh, I haven't
Yeah.
even answered yet.
Ravi, do you think you could beat Connor in a race?
You're Connor, right?
I'm Connor.
Okay.
Boy.
What length of race?
40.
Ooh,
He's thinking really hard about this.
probably not.
Okay.
That's the first person
That's
said
the first
no.
win.
Okay.
You get me under 20, I'm pretty good in just like real short like bursts. You get me over 20, I don't run a lot these days.
Yeah.
So to be fair, you do you know Marissa Voss?
I'm familiar with her. We don't know each other well.
She works for her dad.
Yeah.
I believe she ran for Mankato State.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, she smoked you.
By a half step.
Smoking that Connor
She
pack.
ran track.
R.I.P. Bozo.
She ran at
Bozo.
Mankato State.
Yeah.
And we ran a 40 while we were in Minnesota. And I want to be clear, this is after our live show. I am bare minimum 6 beers deep at this point. Only beat me by a
That's
half
just
step.
carbo loading, man. I don't know what you're complaining about.
That's
No.
building up energy,
Yeah.
bruh.
Is it?
I saw Michael Scott eat a whole thing of pasta before he ran.
What
fettuccine Alfredo, baby.
the nicest compliment I've ever been given in my life was after Voss beat me, and I got clowned. Absolutely. Jared actually has the video of it. Was she looked at me and she's like, "You're faster than I thought you were." And I lost, and it still felt so good. It was the best loss I've ever
He
taken.
looked like a drunk gazelle. His legs were like kicking out to the side.
Oh yeah, no,
That
it wasn't
lanky
good.
mother, this fucking Slender Man looking ass boy.
Now imagine if I was running
Slenderman's
sober.
tall.
Yeah.
All right, so on this punt pass kick, I'm gonna say, I bet at its maximum, I'm tossing a ball 30 yards, maximum. Like I know my physical limitations.
Yeah.
My punts, however, with a roll,
No, this is insane.
with a roll,
With the roll.
There's no way.
with a roll, I bet I can get 50. I bet I can get 50.
That's an absurd number.
With a roll? I'm putting that thing 30 through the air minimum.
I'm doing I think I can do like a 40, 30, 30. That's my goal.
I
or like
bet-
a 40, 40, 20.
I bet through the air I can put that ball 30.
Yeah.
And then if I get a good bounce,
Mhm.
I get a 20-yard roll. That's 50.
20-yard roll. I don't think you're appreciating how rare a 20-yard roll is.
Hey, I was a JV
Yeah, that's-
punter in high school.
Whenever that happens in a game, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's like, oh dear God.
Hey,
Jesus.
I was a JV punter. You guys need to respect that.
I don't feel like I do.
No, nobody does.
No.
But that does leave me. So I'm at 80 yards. I'm at 20-yard line. We had 17. That's a 37-yard field goal with 3 attempts. Not a shot in hell. Not a shot in hell am I hitting that.
Okay. Hey,
Even with the month of prep, it ain't happening.
Ravi, are you on a time constraint? Are you ready to leave?
We're okay.
Okay,
What's up?
because we have I don't know how to totally pronounce his last name, but we do have an Illinois guest that is joining us,
Mhm.
who is actually in the chat right now.
Okay.
Figured we just loop him in, go take 3 steps back to Illinois, and let's just you guys want to take a quick dive into that? Hit that for about 20 minutes and wrap up.
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna introduce him in here. There we go. Let me change that.
So before we introduce him, I do just want to say to someone on TikTok, they said, oops, watch your computer. Damn it.
Jesus.
Is this just a super low-key Husker Bash podcast? And so I responded to him. I said, if you can't handle the fact that we recognize Nebraska sucks right now, we are not for you. So hopefully you guys all agree with my statement there. All right.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
I think it's fair to say Nebraska is not good right now.
we're the chase your Kool-Aid, buddy.
It's in the description, buddy. It's in the description. Okay.
Connor and I are out here saying they're winning on Friday. So I
Yeah,
don't know,
true. That is true.
I don't know what you guys are talking about necessarily, but
Okay. Hey, Mike, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys loud and clear.
We love that. That's the best answer we got all night.
This is going to be the battle of the movable object against the resistible force.
Yes, very resistant.
Which one is which there?
We don't know, because as Illini fans, we were hoping like, hey, Ryan Walters at Purdue's a first-year coach. Of course, you got a first-year coach in Nebraska, got a first-year coach up in Wisconsin. If we can get 2 out of the 3, that'd be great. But we didn't think you would be earholed and lose 44-19 at Purdue. So all of a sudden, that winning 2 out of 3 is like, we just like to win 1. Okay, just 1.
So we do want to introduce you. This is Mike Cagley. He writes for IlliniGuys.com. Now, you were just mentioning the Fighting Illini's last game. We got to be real here. We did not watch it. What went wrong? What happened? What's going on with the Fighting Birds?
Well, we've got 20 minutes isn't enough. I think ultimately you've got a team that the offensive line has not gelled. They've had one gentleman, Zy Chrysler, has been injured, and he missed a ton of the off season, comes back and he's dinged up, and he just hasn't played great. You got to give the kid, all the points for trying. So they've had to shuffle the line around his injury, and it just hasn't gelled yet. Bielema doesn't typically, at least at the beginning of his tenures, he doesn't get a bunch of 5-star recruits, so you're talking, he's got some big offensive linemen, but he needs the red shirt years and, a year or 2 to let him get bigger, meaner, stronger.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good young linemen there, but I don't know if they're ready to play yet. And you wonder if they don't put somebody in based on some of the bad offensive line blocking. Well, then as a coach, they've got to look and say that the guy sitting on the bench may not be the answer. We got to get it done with the guys who are the starters. And he's got about 7 guys on the offensive line who they have to elevate their play. And they cannot, after 5 games, they've given up 21 sacks. And my gosh, you're going to get your quarterback killed. Luke Altmaier's had one bad game where he had 4 interceptions against Penn State. For the most part, he's played okay. His big challenge is being fumbled. You're fumbling the ball, and again, you're looking at I guess 20 drop back, sacks, but you're looking at a team that has to protect the quarterback better, and they haven't been able to run as effectively as they would like either. So if you're getting sacked when you pass and you're not getting the yardage that a Brett Bielema offense is used to from the running attack, it comes back to you have to get the offensive line play better. And on the defensive side, the Illini have given up 17 first downs on penalties.
Ooh,
So
love that.
So
It sounds like Nebraska.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. So this, like I said, that's where that statement come from to start the thing. They've got to figure out, I can't tell you how many times there was the third down that the defense held, and then you look at the laundry on the ground and there's a yellow flag, and you find out that, there was a face mask, illegal hand to the face, a taunting after you stopped, a team. And next thing you know, it's first down and 10. And they have to, if they could cut down on the penalties that are clearly, a referee has no choice but to call. And if the offensive line played a little better, this team would see an instant rejuvenation. But there's nobody walking through the door, to help out. So that means that the guys that are here are going to have to play better, and the coaches on the staff are going to have to coach better.
Well, they lose, arguably the best defensive coordinator probably in the country to Purdue, Ryan Walters, and they get a couple dudes drafted last year. Was it three guys from the defense? That's from an Illinois defense. Before Bielema got there, I can't recall the last time Illinois ever churned that type of talent out on the defensive side.
Probably a little bit during the Zook era, but you probably go back to guys who were recruited by John Makovic, Kevin Hardy, Simeon Rice in that era, when they really were dominant. And then there were a few guys off of the Zook era as well, but it was a heck of a draft year. Surprisingly, Illinois' defensive backs have been pretty good considering the lack of experience back there, but they do get fooled. You can get them, move around the receivers before, right before the line of scrimmage, and they'll make occasional mistakes, but overall they've played pretty well. The real killer for the Illini defense has been the mobile quarterback who moves around in the pocket, not necessarily to run for 10 yards, but to make a 4-second play into a 7 or 8-second play. And then it doesn't matter if Deion Sanders is back there, because it's really hard to stay with a guy, especially college level athletes, for 7 or 8 seconds. And that has been that when they played Finn from Toledo and Daniels from Kansas, it was brutal, and surprisingly, if it hadn't been for a rough game from Altmaier against Penn State with the 4 turnovers and then a 5th fumble that the Illini gave up, that game was 16-7 going into the 4th quarter. They would have had an opportunity, or late in the 3rd quarter, they would have had an opportunity to win that game without the turnovers. So it's the quarterback that stands in one place that they do much better against, as opposed to the guys who will use that time to set up a throw. And they've really struggled against that. We're kind of happy that there's not a lot of those on the Big Ten schedule, but then again, we saw with Purdue, maybe it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah. Mike,
that's true. You put it that way.
Mike, the pass and run attempts this year have been essentially, I think exactly 50-50 in terms of the play calling. Now, some of those rush attempts are sacks and things like that. So it's actually more passing attempts than rushing attempts on the season for Illinois so far. If I had told you that going into the season compared to what we saw last year, where would your head have been at in terms of how things are going?
I would have thought we needed an exorcism, and
what an excellent day for an exorcism.
Exactly. Get the spirit out of Coach B. I think ultimately this season is going into its 6th game, and Illinois does not really have an offensive identity right now. And they need to figure out, for an offensive line that's not doing as well as you hope, you've got to kind of figure out, what do these guys do well and what can we tailor to what they're good at. And maybe the answer is going with 2 tight ends and running the ball. The interesting thing is as a media member, we've seen probably 10 runs this year. You see how basically we were spoiled by Chase Brown, because there are at least 10 runs that guys get hooked with just, maybe a one hand hitting their back foot, causing them to go down with nothing but green in front of them. And, Chase Brown would have broke that for 25, 30 yards. And we're not getting those runs this year. And so, with the offensive line struggling, I think maybe they decide to go a little bit maybe simpler and maybe just do the old fashioned drive blocking and see if you can get a little bit of an identity going. The other thing that we found against Purdue is Caden Fagan, the true freshman, had a nice game, and he is a horse. And maybe, Bielema doesn't have a problem with big running backs. He likes thunder and lightning. And if he doesn't have any lightning, maybe he just has a thunder backfield, because this kid showed an awful lot against Purdue and was out there, hitting people and getting positive yards on a day when there wasn't a lot of positives happening.
So, Mike, you talk about, maybe emphasizing the rushing game coming into this Nebraska game. With Nebraska, obviously Blake Corum pretty much took Nebraska's defense to the woodshed, and
well, they had a whole stable of backs that they used.
Yes.
But with the stout Nebraska rushing defense, outside of that game, does that deter you a little bit from running that ball? Do you look to the air a little bit more, or do you kind of rely on that rushing game a little bit after what you saw against Michigan?
The interesting thing is typically a Brett Bielema team feels like they can run on anybody. Clearly this year they haven't established that yet. They don't have the pleasure of making that assumption. I think what Illinois needs to do is they need to look at, well, what does the defense give us, and can we take it? Altmaier has been his statistics aren't bad when you look at a quarterback rating of 130. When you consider that he's been sacked 18 times, that's probably higher than what you would expect. He's a fairly accurate guy when you keep him clean. So maybe you take a look, like, you're going to run the quick slant patterns. You're going to run the quick out patterns, do the stuff that a defense will give you, and see if you can build a little bit of that confidence early in the game. And if it happens to be quick hitters on offense, that's great. Barry Lunny Jr., the offensive coordinator, was, he's run a little bit of it's a spread, but it's a run oriented spread. Even making some small changes, like going 3rd down and 1, maybe putting your quarterback under center, and so that you make that 1 yard gain an actual 1 yard gain instead of a 6 yard gain. Yeah,
some of those. That's great. No, going shotgun on 4th and 1 is the way to go.
We're not.
No, don't even get me. I'm way older.
Nebraska's decision.
No, we need more people to say how effing dumb that is. Please, Mike, go. Please.
Yeah, we're agreeing with you.
We need more.
I'm a lot older than you guys, but I tell you, my mind spins. Yeah, exactly. My mind spins when I'm like thinking back to my days of playing back in the 80s. And I'm like, if we would line up in a shotgun to get a less than a yard on 4th down, I think our football coach might have had a heart attack right on the side of the field, and
as he should.
Yeah. So there's some things like that I'd like to see change, but obviously I'm not a football coach. Ultimately they've got to find a way. And again, you have to kind of, have a feel for it. but there's no team out there outside of Georgia and Michigan and a few very select defensively stout teams who can take away almost everything. So take a look at what they're giving you. If the defensive back is 7 yards off the ball, take a 5-yard route, get the make it 2nd and 5. If they've got the middle blocked up, run outside or pass the ball outside. And even, Altmaier's been under such pressure that he's also missed some reads that he should have. You want to throw the ball where the blitz comes from. There was one play where he took a loss that all he had to do was literally drop the ball to the wide receiver who was exactly where he was supposed to be, jumping up and down. And Altmaier just missed it because he's been running for his life the whole game. So keep the pocket a little bit cleaner would be the first step. And I think they've got to figure out, if a guy is out there and he, stops a Nebraska player on 4th down and 5 and he stops him and it's Illinois' ball, but he does a dance that the referees don't like and they throw a flag. I'm one that's like, hey, that next series, you're not going to be playing because we can't keep putting people into positions where they keep making the same decisions that hurt the team. And I think maybe a little bit more of that. And I know I'm old school and people are going to be like, yeah, go to the retirement home and calm down. But at some point, you need to have that a little more discipline than what the Illini have shown this year. And they didn't have quite the penalty problem last year that they had this year.
Is there anything going into Friday that worries you, I guess, about this Nebraska team? I guess I don't know how many Nebraska games you've watched, but is there anything that Nebraska does that worries you going into Friday?
I tell you this, I know they haven't done anything yet, but the speed at wide receiver is a little scary. I mean, there's guys out there who can, if they get the ball, I'm like, who's going to catch them? You also have, I think the ability to stop the run is tough because Illinois, we're used to Illinois being able to run on everybody, and that includes Michigan. And this year, they've not run on anybody. And thank God we don't play Michigan. So
must be nice.
Yeah.
The concern is you've got to figure out a way to get that offense out of 3rd down and 7 all the time. They've got to be more productive on 1st down, and they really need to. Again, I'm hoping Lunny, he was really good at UT San Antonio. They had an incredible offense there, and they didn't run, they ran a lot of shorter passes and kind of dinked you down the field. Maybe mixing in some of those will do 2 things. One, it'll get you some short gains that are easier to get than trying to throw the 30-yard out pattern and see if you can hit that. And the other thing it might do is it might loosen up. You guys got that stud in the middle of the defensive line. Let's tire him out a little bit by making him run a little, on a few pass plays and see if we can run up the middle. And I think he's going to be a big problem. And I'm blanking on his name, but
Nash Hutmacher.
Nash,
yes, exactly.
Robinson.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big dude in the middle. He's going to be a hard one to move out of the way. But if you can loosen up the defense a little bit, maybe you can stop the safeties from coming up and making the big hits. And I think Nebraska earlier in the year was relatively successful with a high number of sacks early on. And I think watching a film of the Illini, I expect them to come full bore at Altmaier to see if the offensive line is going to miss a block, then, we can pick up 8 yards and have a quarterback, that's going back to the huddle, shaking his head.
Yeah. That 3-3-5 at the beginning of the season, it seemed like, and it's not like we're down on Tony White after this game or anything like that. It's just like you had Cam Lenhart out there, true freshman, who was looking very impressive. He's been out for the past couple of games, but it just seemed like the scheme that Tony White was cooking up was really, really nifty and like confusing offenses. And it seems like that slipped a little bit. I don't think we've had sacks the past 2 games. I could be
Yes,
wrong.
that's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Basically, since Lenhart's been out.
yeah. So
Okay.
let's just we'll see. We'll see if that happens. You know,
Well, let's make
typically,
it 3 then. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
good with 3 in a row.
Well, I was gonna
No,
say,
Mike, get crazy, Mike.
Yeah.
well, Mike. So we have 5 of us here at the table. We went around. We did our predictions. 2 of our guys said Nebraska win. 3 of us said Illini win. What say you, sir?
I'm not very confident, but I'm going to say Illini 23 to 17. But that means there's 1 play difference, in this game. And can the Illini have the discipline to make the key tackle without the antics that get the flag thrown? Can they sack the quarterback without grabbing somebody's face mask on the way down? That they need to avoid those type of plays, because it looks to me, when you look at Matt Rule, he's got a history of year 3 just turning into a Frankenstein. So you need to get your wins over Nebraska before he gets a chance to build this thing, and that this is an opportunity for the Illini. And I think both these teams have their back against the wall. I think both these teams really need this win. It's going to be a very fragile group of fans all the way around in Memorial Stadium. And the team that loses, there's going to be a lot of Kleenex, because I think people are going to realize that, at 2-4, a season that maybe started off hopeful is really getting on shaky ground.
Yes, Mike. We had Matt Rule after the Michigan game come out and say, this is a find out Friday. Like, you're going to see what this team's about. You're going to see what I'm about. And so they are fully aware of just how important this game is. So you're absolutely right.
And Illinois was the same way. Brett Bielema came out and said that yesterday was there were a lot of very, very hard and uncomfortable conversations, not only with coaches and players, but between members of the coaching staff as to their own performance.
Wow.
And we all respect Brett Bielema at this table. We give him crap because of, kind of how big he is or whatever. We call him Big Bert. That's fine,
Yep.
right? But we respect him as a football coach. I think we're all on the same page there. So that does not surprise me that he's kicking some butt. He's swift kicking the pants, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is one. I think he's a guy, if you sit down and talk to him, if he scratches his nose, you're like, somewhere he's got a schedule that says, 8:35 scratch nose with right hand, and
Wow.
he's that type of guy. And I think he probably looks in the mirror and says, okay, what can I do different or better, because it's not working this season. We have to find a solution. One of the things he's really good at is he is a guy who doesn't make excuses. So he knows that it's in the Smith Center. Those players and those coaches have to elevate their game, both the coaches as coaches and the players on what they're doing on the field. And if they don't, there could be hell to pay. You're expected to win, and this is the toughest league in the country. And think about it. You got 4 Sharks that are going to be dropped into the pool next year, and it's not going to get easier next year. It's just going to get tougher. So you better figure it out now.
All right.
And now I've depressed all Illini fans and maybe half the Nebraska fans.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Mike, brother, we were already depressed. You didn't help us at all.
Salt and wound.
I mean, look, you say sharks in the pool. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of blood in that water. So here it comes.
Yes, there is. Yes.
All right. Well, Mike Cagley, we appreciate your time. Is there anything else you guys want to say or ask?
No. I think
great.
I think it was pretty swift, conclusion as to what kind of Illini fans can expect. So yeah, we appreciate it, man.
Hey, one quick thing. Of course, we have 2 products at our shop here. We do IlliniGuys.com. We cover Illinois, and we also do Big Sports Radio, which is on there at KLIN from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. on Saturday mornings, where we cover the whole Big Ten. So and you can find any of our podcasts if you're crazy enough to enjoy us, you can search Big Sports Radio at just about anywhere, or Illini Guys Sports Spectacular, where we have a 2-hour show that's weekly in Illinois, focusing on Illinois. But if you want a Big Ten show to get you ready, turn on to KLIN at 5 a.m. in the morning if you're up that early.
Woo! It's early.
yeah.
Mike,
yeah.
I have a really important question before you go. Does Fat Sandwich still exist in Champaign?
Does what now?
Fat Sandwich? Have you not been to Fat Sandwich?
You know, I have not. I'm more of the problem is when I go to Champaign, I rarely get past Papa Del's.
Okay. Okay.
Incredible pizza. And then the other place, it's the most underrated place in Champaign. It's been there since I was in high school, but it's a place called Lil Porgy's, Lil, instead of writing the full word little. Apparently the guy's an efficiency expert, but Lil Porgy's has the best barbecue sauce.
Ooh, okay.
And it is amazing, but I would tell you, don't get the hot sauce because it literally will get you sweating in the middle of the winter.
Hey, Smelter.
They'll pay. They'll all pay.
Mike, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Mike, are you an exclusive member of the Illini Mug Club? I gotta ask because I am.
I am not.
Wow.
I don't even know what the Illini, which is that.
Yeah, no one,
I don't even
no
remember
one
what-
at this table has any idea.
I don't remember which bar it was. I was just with some Illinois fans.
You
They
don't
took me
even
there
know?
and I signed some book and I became part of the Illini. I had to chug a beer in so many seconds and I became an exclusive member.
You have to remember that when I went to college was significantly before any of you guys did. That place might not have even
That's
been in business.
Awesome.
That's sad.
You watch Red Grange and all that.
Yeah, and that's what we joke about that. We're getting old enough.
I'm just gonna let you know Fat Sandwich does still exist. So if you find yourself in Champaign, just wander on over. You'll thank me.
Add the
All right,
mozzarella sticks.
I'll have to do that as long as you guys head over to Porgy's or Papa Del's. We'll consider it a deal.
You
Yeah,
got a
we
deal.
can do that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right, Mike. Thank you so much for coming on. No Block, No Rock. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. You guys have a great evening.
And
Thank you,
GBR.
Thanks, Mike.
And GBR.
All right.
Sneak it in.
All right. Ravi,
What's up?
you've already plugged yourself. We've already done the punt pass kick. Am I missing anything?
No, it's just
All right.
shout out
Thank
Herdad's.
you.
Hey,
Well,
shout
yeah,
out Herdad's
Thank
Sports
you.
Bar.
Heard that Sports Bar and Grill.
Thanks
Yeah.
for providing
See,
food.
that's why I
Got
asked.
the food.
B&B Maids of Omaha. Thanks for doing what you do.
Garage.
Nebraska Garage Solutions. If you want to get all that crap off your floor, give them a call.
Okay.
Wait,
I
did you say you have a maid sponsor, like a house cleaning sponsor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I might have you guys.
B&B Maids of Omaha.
Like-
if you anytime you need to call them, they will show up. Doesn't matter what time of day.
Oh,
Yeah.
They pride themselves on like Airbnbs too. Like that's like their thing is like rental proproperties, like getting it
Okay.
clean and
Yeah.
ready for the next people. So yeah,
Look at
shout out
That's-
B&B Maids of Omaha.
that's good to know because I got that housekeeper money now. I need to.
Ooh, it's that Herdat.
Wow.
That Herdat change.
That Damon Benning money.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. What do you say we sign off?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long night. I'm one of your hosts, Jared Hall.
Mike Delaware.
Kyle Byers.
Connor Cadillac.
Ravi Lulla.
As always, beat Illinois in GBR.